Welcome to this episode of Doug Has Questions. Today my guest is Kim Clune, amazing photographer. If you want to look at any of her stuff, and she has stuff available to purchase on her website, Kim, CLUNE.com.
You got it.
Go to the website, check it out. Absolutely beautiful work, Kim.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And before we get too far, I got to remember we got our mugs that we're giving to everybody.
That's so fun. I love it. And I have answers.
And you have the answers. Yep.
That's great. Thank you.
No, thank you for joining us.
You bet.
I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
So you've listened to a couple of these, I
have.
think. So you know how this goes. Where did Kim's story begin?
Oh gosh. I didn't come that prepared. Okay. Well, let's start with Haines because that's our connection.
Okay, yeah.
And
Connections in Haines.
Yes.
So what brought you to Haines?
It's a little bit of a roundabout story. I can make it as quick as I possibly can.
You don't have to make it quick. We've got plenty of time.
I know, but so I know about Haines because of Joe Ordonez.
Okay.
And he runs Rainbow Glacier Adventures.
Yep.
And I was living in New York. A friend of mine got a job here. She was driving an RV down with her brother back to the lower 48. They stopped at the Rusty Compass. And, of course, Cindy tells her story to everybody. Joe always asks for a story.
Yeah.
So the two were a perfect match. And when she told him that she's also an award-winning photographer, but journalistically, and so she was working for the Times-Union in Albany, and basically they cut her and all the long-term people who were more expensive, they made it really sweet for them to take early retirement so they could bring in a bunch of new people. So she came up here without a job, and Joe was like, well, I need photo guides. Would you like to come work for me? Which was not on her radar. But she came back to New York and said, can you take care of my real estate photography so that when I come back, I still have a job because I'll only be gone for 6 months. And I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. And I said, it'd be even better if you got me a job. And I was kidding.
Yeah. When was this?
2018.
2018, okay.
Yeah. And so there was a night where I was leaving with 4 photographers, or I was leaving with 3 photographers. 4 of us were meeting up in Iceland to do an elopement shoot. And my husband was in Washington, D.C., and he was coming home. All I remember is we had like 2 hours to talk to each other before we passed like ships in the night. And I just get this email saying, somebody's not showing up for the season. Can you come? We're short a person. I was not expecting that. And not so fast. It was like, you have to leave next month. We had just signed a contract on our house to have it an extension put on. I hadn't chosen anything to put in the place. And it was madhouse. So I told my husband, I'm like, all right, I got this email. I know I can't do this, right? Like, I can't. And he's like, no, you have to do it. And I'll come visit. You never know where it's going to lead.
Yeah.
And so I went on this trip, and Joe and I spoke, and of course, different time zones. And it was his Sunday dinner. I think I was still in Saturday night, something like that. And I said, you have to convince me that this is cool because, first of all, I'm actually like really in love with the person I'm married to, which not everybody can say, but it's really hard to leave
be with him
for 6 months. And he said, when you get here, there'll still be snow in the mountains. The bears will just be coming down. Not long after you get here, the wildflowers turn on like a light switch. And then you have the salmon come in and the bears are on the river. And then, before you leave, you'll have the northern lights. And I was like, you had me at the very first thing you mentioned. So I came, and I knew nothing of guiding. I was a wedding photographer who loved doing wildlife, but that was not my bread and butter at the time. And I came here and got a crash course in what it means to guide, and learned all the nature and the natural history and the Tlingit history, and so that's my introduction to Haines.
That's just so wild that you're getting ready to go to Iceland.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, by the way, we need you in Haines.
Yeah.
So when you got done with the Iceland trip, how long did you have at home before you were heading to Haines?
I want to say it was like 2 or 3 weeks.
So that's
I had to get
that's-
like my driver's, record. I had to get, I don't even remember. It was like, I remember I had to pack, all I could pack was a 50-pound box and ship it here. I didn't know where I was going to live. Dina Selby actually was working for Joe at the time,
Yeah.
and Joe was like, "Oh, you can move in with Dina," which I don't think he had even asked.
Have you asked Dina yet?
So I emailed Dina, and she's like, "Great," and she said, "By the way, there are whales on the Lynn Canal today," and I was like, "Okay,
All right.
this is awesome."
Make sure some of them hang around when I'm
Yeah.
going to be there.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, it was the best choice I ever made. It was
So
fantastic.
what was that? What was that first summer like? Was that just like drinking water out of a fire hose
Yes.
with everything coming at you?
Yes. I knew nothing really about Alaska other than a few cruise ships. Tim and I had taken 2 trips, I think, here on cruises, and never been to Haines. So I knew nothing about that. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you keep coming back, so it must have been a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun, and I think because it wasn't just guiding and it wasn't just the nature. I mean, Tim and I take a annual trip every year. We do really cool things. We go to the Galapagos, or we go see the polar bears in Churchill, Manitoba, or, there's always something on the horizon. But this was personal because Dina was, plugged into the town, and she introduced me to different people and had me going to play Mexican train and going to fortnight talks at the museum, and I got to meet everybody that I still now know, and I felt like I made friends and didn't just have a job.
Okay.
So I think
that's a difference.
it
That's
was
a big difference.
difference. Yeah. I didn't know just the people in the company, It was the town. So I loved this town. I fell in love with that. And yeah, I could come for bears, and that was cool. but it was the people.
Yeah.
It was definitely the people.
And what size groups is that you're taking out on these? Was it just photography tours, or were you just doing nature tours as well?
I was doing photography tours. Well, it's a small company. You plug in where you can.
Wherever you can.
Sometimes I'd drive people out to raft trips, on days that I didn't have photo tours. Other times I was doing all-day private photo tours. So it just depended on what the need was. But the average, I think the buses I think the buses held 14. 14 passengers, I think.
It was a pretty wide breadth of skill set of photographers that are coming up.
Yeah. Yeah, you had people who didn't know how to use their cell phones and just wanted to learn that. And then you had people who had, $1,000 and up lenses and didn't know how to use their cameras. Or you had the people who knew everything and didn't need you, but just wanted to be on a tour where you were going to point them in the right direction
of where to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what kind of a challenge was that? Because if you've got people coming with different camera systems.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was that challenge just trying to figure out between Canon, Sony? I mean, depending on I have no idea which brand you use. But
I'm Canon.
You're a Canon? Okay, I'm a Canon guy.
Just out of necessity, because that's what my husband had, and we had pieces and parts, and we just built on the system. But I had studied with a few photographers that were using different systems, so I had a little bit of a handle on that. But then, you have to know all the cell phones and how to do long exposures and get the cool waterfall, looking dreamy. And it was a learning curve. Sometimes I'd sit with the menus for a little while, but I'm kind of tech savvy, so it wasn't too bad. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what brought on the photography for you? What got you into photography in the first place?
Okay.
Let's take that step back. Now we know why you're in Haines.
Right.
And like I said before, you do a fantastic job with your photography.
Thank you.
Where did that begin? Where did that creative juice hit you?
It's always my grandmother always had the little point and shoot camera with the flash cubes when I was growing up. She'd always cut off our heads, but it was just always part of my family. We took pictures of everything, and my dad did that. And so I started carrying a point and shoot, and I was a flight attendant for a while overseas, and so I always had a point and shoot with me, but I was never technical. Mm-hmm. And then in 2013, my niece, had asked me to shoot her Burning Man wedding. Because I would make these scrapbooks for the family, and she just loved the scrapbooks.
She got married at Burning Man?
She did.
Oh, wow.
She got engaged at Burning Man and then
married. There's got to be an amazing story behind that, but let's
Yeah.
continue on the photography one.
So I didn't know how to shoot. I just, and she's like, you
Yeah.
don't have to, like, just do. And I was like, no. And my husband had bought me for our wedding a DSLR. And, I had it on auto.
Mm-hmm.
But I was getting better with composition and kind of practicing those things. And she didn't really care, but I cared. So I booked myself in a crash course, DSLR, intro kind of thing. And spent the day learning how to, they throw a scarf in the air and you have to catch it before it falls,
Okay.
without it blurring. And, we'd go in the dark and there'd be sparklers and you had to have the settings right for that, which was great because everything's on fire at Burning Man in the dark. So
yeah.
perfect thing to learn. I went there and I knew that we weren't I have this brand new camera, right? And I'm like, how do I keep it from fritzing? Because the playa dust is really acidic.
Yeah.
And so if it gets in the camera, they say within 6 months, your electronics can fry.
Really?
Yeah.
That quickly?
So yeah, you wouldn't even know that that's what happened, if it happens that far down the line.
Wow.
So I learned real quickly that I needed to pick one lens.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to run with that the whole time and tape it on so I could seal it.
Okay.
There was no
That makes
switching
sense.
lenses,
Yep.
so I picked a 50 millimeter because I could get fairly close, but I could
Yep.
run away and get landscape scenes. And I did a lot of running on that playa. While we're riding in an art car, and the only thing we had to drink was a cooler full of champagne. So it was a very interesting day, and I was terrified. She's my favorite. One of two favorite nieces. I have many, but
yes.
And I can say this.
Yeah.
Yeah. My family won't get mad, but these are the two that I'm closest to. She and her sister, and I really didn't want to fail her. That was a lot of pressure.
I think there's more pressure than that than if you're hired by somebody, because it's if somebody hires you to do it and it doesn't work out and they're mad about paying money for it, that's one thing. But if it's family,
right?
You got to see them all the time.
All right.
I can see where there'd be a tremendous amount of pressure because it's your first time doing that.
Yeah. I'd never shot a wedding.
But I'm guessing it turned out
I didn't know
amazing.
how to pose people. She's like, I don't want posed. So
I'm betting it turned out great.
It's still my favorite wedding.
Yeah.
I got the camera connected to the laptop and unloaded everything, and I was like, oh my God, I did it. I literally had tears streaming down my face. I had so much pressure for so long.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, it worked. And then she wanted to project all these images on a warehouse wall in Seattle when she got back, when she had her in-town reception.
Okay.
So I had to learn how to edit everything. And she really wanted kind of this stylistic, surrealist almost look to it. Almost looks illustrative. And heavy contrast, real saturation. And so I learned how to do all of that with thousands of photographs that I took.
What were you using Lightroom?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I learned that all by myself. And I still show those pictures and people are like, wow.
What's the time frame between when the wedding and this reception in Seattle that you're learning Lightroom and processing 1,500 photographs to... How much time did you have on that?
I think I had less than a month.
Jeez.
Yeah. But I've been watching so there's a photographer that I was following and his name is Trey Ratcliffe. And he, at the time, he was one of the most popular photographers on Google. Mm-hmm. Back when Google had the social media component, right? And so he was joining with other photographers who... They would have all these conversations and they'd put these tutorials on YouTube. So I was really able to hone in and figure out all right, this is what I'm looking to do. Mm-hmm. Here's a YouTube video on it.
Okay.
And I kind of taught myself through that without going to school, but it's not like I was really on my own. I had the internet, right?
Yeah, but still, just I'm thinking my history of trying to process photographs in Lightroom.
Yeah.
I took a class with Ron Horn here in town. He was the one that got me into photography back in the day. And it was probably around, that was a little earlier than that. It was probably mid 2006, 2007. Got inexpensive DSLR and kind of been adding on to that since. The biggest problem I have with I'm color deficient
Okay.
in my eyes, right? And so he's in the class. He's talking about with saturation or adjusting the color, and he'd be like, "Yeah, you just move it a little bit here," and everybody's like, "Oh wow!" I'm like, "I didn't see anything." He said, "No, just watch from here to here." I'm like,
You're like, nope.
it looks the same to me. He goes,
Okay.
"Well, what about this?" I'm like, "Still looks the same to me."
Okay.
And so the processing for me has always been, that's what got me to, it kind of pushed me to stop taking pictures.
Okay.
Because I'd go out and take a whole bunch of pictures and I'd get them back, and I was so frustrated with the processing part of it that I wasn't picking. And when I'd show some to friends, they're like, yeah, it's just, it was never, they're like, it looks good, but this is a little off, or this is a little, it's like, man, I spent like 45 minutes trying to get this just right. But what my eyes see and what everybody else sees are so different on the color aspect of it.
Yeah.
That I was just kind of like, all right, I don't know photography. I still have my camera stuff, but most of it's been used in shooting and doing that's what, and before we got these smaller cameras, that's what I used to shoot all the podcasts.
Okay.
Because I just gave up on the processing part of it.
I wonder if it would be, if you could still find fun in doing black and white and just kind of get into that more edgy.
That might be the way to go.
Because then you can still play with the textures and and if your color's off, nobody cares.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so that's why it's amazing to me with my struggles of it that in a month you're processing 1,500 wedding pictures after your first shoot and displaying them on the side of this warehouse. I'm just, for me, my mind's just like Superwoman over here doing this.
I can get a little obsessive. It works to my advantage sometimes.
Well, if those pictures are anywhere near the quality of the wildlife ones that you have and the ones you have on your website, I'm sure I can understand why your niece would be very happy with the job that her aunt did with her wedding.
It was really good for her, and it ended up being really good for me too, because the woman I took the class with, I was fascinated. Now I'm hooked, right? Mm-hmm. And so I went back to her.
So was this in Albany?
Yeah.
And so was it a one-on-one class or was it a group class that she
class.
had? And how long was the class?
So the intro one was just a day. It was
okay.
course.
You took a 1-day class? Get out of here.
Yeah.
Like 8-hour class? 6-hour class?
Probably 4.
4 hours?
Yeah.
And you out and just like totally rocked this shoot?
Oh, well, trust me, I did not think I would. But
no, but you did. Give yourself credit. You took a 4-hour class and you go out and just kill it in the middle of the desert.
First of all, a couple of things. So the images there just jump into your lens. Like, there's some amazing stuff. And the technical side, I will say, like, some of them aren't great. Some of them have a really cool feel to them. Mm-hmm. But, like, people twirling fire at night, the people are blurry. The fire is cool motion. I mean, if you looked at it from a technical standpoint, a lot of them wouldn't fly for some of the night photos. In daytime, we got really lucky because we had full-on sun and dust storms and all kinds of interesting things. But the lighting was good. So I didn't have to play with low light scenarios.
Okay.
Which was really helpful. Like if it were raining, mud storms, it would have been a whole different scenario. Okay. So I had a lot of things working in my favor.
I understand all of that, Kim. But at the same time, please give yourself credit that after a 4-hour class,
I was
good.
Like, oh my God, it happened.
I was like, that is amazing.
And I'm still really proud of those images. I am.
Good.
I am. Yeah.
And so when you get back to Albany after this,
so I take that next course.
You're like, I want the next class.
Yeah. And this one was a 6-week course. This one was I'm into
this. I found my passion.
Yeah. And I loved the way this woman taught. So, and she was younger than me and, just had all kinds of energy. So the first day of class, I was like, hey, I just wanted to bring this in and show you because I want to thank you for what you helped me achieve. And she was going through the book and, other people kind of gathered around because I showed up early. I didn't want to, wasn't trying to make it like a class thing, but people were filtering in. And so they came and they were looking and they were asking questions and she's not saying much. And I was like, maybe she doesn't like this really heavy-handed editing.
Uh-huh.
You know, maybe that's not her thing. And she's just kind of looking, and she's like, "Great job," and she hands it back. And then we do class, and the next week I get a phone call from her because she's got it off the class roster, and she said, "My second shooter isn't showing up for a wedding. Will you come shoot with me this weekend?" I was like, I guess she liked the book. I mean, I try to do all the traditional stuff with the 2 rings sitting on the little, you know what I mean? Like, and the shoe shot. But yeah, that's how I got into doing weddings. So just wasn't looking for that one either.
And so did you start shooting with her on weddings?
I got hired by her, and I worked with her for 2 years, I think. Yeah.
And then did you go out on your own then?
I did, but I was not so great with the business end. I didn't like contracts. I didn't like interviewing couples and wondering if this was going to be a wedding I wanted to shoot.
Yeah.
She handled all of those things, and I loved that part of what she did. But I loved the shooting. I didn't want to go home at the end of the night.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like I was kind of in the party, and that was always a big high. So yeah, that was an eye-opening experience that I didn't really want to work on my own.
Okay.
But then Haines happened.
And
it didn't really matter.
Yeah. So you also talked about doing real estate shoots.
That was just fitting in and filling in between for Cindy, but then it didn't happen because I came here.
Okay, that was one of the things she did.
Yeah.
That wasn't necessarily... So you go from... You're doing the weddings. How do you get into the wildlife stuff that you're shooting?
I just always did it anyway when we were on vacations.
Those are just vacation things?
They were for a while. And then, Christmas would come and my husband bought me a long lens. And then we'd go to the Galapagos and see all these amazing things. And I had the bigger lenses. So part of it is being right place. I mean, I'm not begrudging the skills, but being right place, right time, absolutely. Having the right gear. And so over time, we just kept building the collection. And yeah, now I only work really with 3 lenses. And
What are the 3?
I've got a 150-600, and I have I've got a wide angle 16. Well, I guess, what is it? It's so funny. I've stopped thinking specs now because I just have my gear, and now I just focus on the subject.
Yeah, you're just switching. You just know which one is motor mounted. Yeah. You grab it and go.
Yeah, I mean, I had a 1635, and then I went to like the 20. Now I can't remember what it is. 2470. Yeah. Yep. And I just got my 100 millimeter back for macro. So
100s are nice.
Yeah. So yeah, those are my 3 mains. And mostly, I'll be out here now shooting, and people see the gear and they always want to talk gear, and I'm always like, shut up. I'm paying attention to my subject, thank you. I don't want to talk about the means to get the photograph. I just want to be in, locked mindset. In and witnessing this amazing thing in front of me. So, but I also did teach for a little while, so I was very gear-minded for a while.
Do you think too many people get stuck on the gear?
Yeah.
That it's got to be this lens or it's got to be this, and instead of just being out there and focusing on what's in front of you?
Yeah. Yeah. Tim and I were on the Chilcat last year, I think. Maybe it was the year before. Just pulled over on the beach, and there were 2 herons, one on each side of a log. Mm-hmm. And they're like, they come down to the sand and they're hopping around. And I'm like, it's just the 2 of us on the beach. There's this cool thing happening. All of a sudden, this crow comes in, picks up a stick. Another crow comes in, grabs the other end of the stick. Now the herons want the stick. And I'm like, this is I've never seen these birds. Crows, yes, they'll play like that. Yeah. But I've never seen herons get in on the game. And so I'm shooting, and this guy pulls up, and he's like, "Oh, what are you shooting with?" And I'm like, "Do you not see what's happening? Are you not watching
what's in front of me?"
Yeah. But he would not let it go. He would not let it go. And I was
just like, all about the equipment instead of just watching what's happening.
Yep.
Do you get some good pictures of that?
They were far.
Okay.
They were far, even with the long lens. Sometimes you're just doing it because you want to see it closer.
You want to see it closer, but you know it's not going to be the best shot.
Not going to post it, yeah. But I like them for me.
Yeah.
Do you do that too? Do you find that you do things for you as much as other people?
Pretty much all my photography is just for me.
Oh, okay.
because I think it all sucks.
Stop it. We'll talk after.
No, seriously, it was one of those. The only time I've done anything in 2018, I went to London to watch the Seahawks play the Raiders, and I took a class in London, and it was just a tourist class, and just walked around and taking pictures of monuments, and a friend of mine said, "Hey, you should put those in the bank." And I was like, "No, I'm not gonna do that." And like, "No, you should put those in the bank." I was like, "All right." So I had someone put them up in the bank, and one of my other friends was like, "You know, those aren't that good, don't you?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do know they're not that good."
Oh no.
And that's why I usually don't let anybody look at them. But that was her. I was like, "Oh, I'm glad you put those on there. You know they're not that good, right?" I was like, "Yeah, that's kind of what I told you before I put them up there." And you were saying you should really put those in the bank. Like, thanks for the positive reinforcement there.
I feel so bad for you. That's such a horrible thing for a friend to do. Say.
But the part of that, though, is that's on stuff like that. That's what I'm always telling myself. That it's, if I go out there and I'm just shooting by myself, I won't take my cameras out. The best time that I've had shooting, it's when I'm with an artistic friend that they've got their camera and we're both out at the same place, and I'll look, what do they see over there?
Yeah.
And you kind of do that, or they see, what are you taking a picture of? It's like, oh, I'm looking at this. Oh, let's try this angle. And
that's fun.
Just being on one-on-one with somebody else whose skill set I really appreciate, and having that conversation, and it's both on the artistic side and the technical side, because I'm wanting to learn how I can, whatever I have to do with the camera, do I need to ISO, whatever, change on there to get a better picture? And then, we're chimping, looking at the back of the camera. What'd you get? And that's where I have the most fun with it. Yeah. Is I'm with somebody else that's much more skilled than I am. And that I respect artistically.
Sure. And
to share that experience with them. I don't care what the pictures look like, because I'm not going to post them anywhere anymore. But having that moment of sharing that with somebody, that's where I get and I don't have any of those friends in Haines anymore that are into the photography that I used to do that with in the past.
Well, we'll go out.
Okay, it's a deal.
Okay.
I'd love to go shoot with you sometime.
That would be fun.
That would be a blast.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's in, I think in 2020, is it 2020 or 2021, I got a new camera body, and I put I think I only had 200 pictures I've taken with it.
Oh, wow.
And then I started using it for video for this.
Okay.
Because I think
I took more than 200 yesterday.
Well,
Sam's laughing.
What Ron Horn would always give me a bad time about, because he'd show me different pictures he'd taken. It's like, oh yeah. He goes, Doug, the only way you get better as a photographer is you have to actually take pictures.
Right.
And he said, I heard you went to Whitehorse. Yep. Did you have your camera with you? It's like, no. He goes, you realize you can't take pictures if you don't have your camera with you. I was like, yeah, that's good information there. Yeah. You are 100% correct.
Right.
So it's something that I enjoy, but I there's been enough struggles with it that I need to do better. I need to get out and play with it more.
Okay.
And I'm hoping this winter, if I get a chance. I was trying to get a class in Seattle, but I was never down there long enough. But just sit. This is my new camera. Sit with somebody and take a 4-hour class or something. Yeah. And just get really good with the technical side of it.
And then it is as simple as sitting in your living room and throwing a scarf and trying to shoot it. I mean, it's getting to the point where the settings have muscle memory.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing for me is, with this one, for some reason, the different autofocus, it's not as clear as I think it should be. And so I go online, I watch the YouTube videos. This is how you set it up. And I take a picture and I put it. I was like, okay, it's not doing what I think it should. Okay. And after I do that for a little bit, then I get frustrated and I just put it in the closet and I bring it out when I need to use it for a video camera for a podcast idea that I had.
It's sharp during video?
Huh? It's sharp during video. We haven't had any issues with it there. So it always comes back, Kim.
We'll talk.
I look at it comes back to operator error. It's usually what it comes down to.
Right.
And the operator needs more instructions to understand what he's doing.
Well, and you can fear not, because I still have plenty of operator error myself, even after all this time.
It
So,
happens.
yeah.
No matter how much practice we have, you're always
Exactly.
going to have operator error.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, going through the weddings, doing the wildlife, coming up to Haines, and now you've got this amazing palette here to take pictures of.
Yes.
Now, Tim's up here now too. How long
Yes.
was it? What was it like that first summer? You're like, you need to get up here.
He was in charge of the home
Yeah,
extension.
he was doing the
right?
home remote.
So,
Yeah, the
and with
home
our two
project back
dogs,
there.
so we've got 2 huge Newfoundlands,
Uh-huh.
and so he was taking care of all that. So he came up here once. It was so socked in with fog.
Oh no!
He came on a tour with me, so that was fun. But yeah, it rained.
He was like, I don't know what you see about this place.
He loved it, but he didn't get to see it in the glory I knew it had, right?
Yeah.
So he came back, and we then did get to see it, which was great. But he really didn't get to come up as much as we hoped. Mm-hmm. I would send him pictures; he'd see those. So that's really kind of how he experienced Haines, was through me, and I'd put little videos together for him. But that was it. So yeah, it was more after my diagnosis where we kind of came back, because I really wanted to be back here. And I was in the middle of cancer treatment, and I had a break between, I think it was between, I had chemo and then surgery and then chemo. So like I was between chemo and surgery, and I was having a real hard time with it. So he brought me here because he knew this is my happy place.
So let's. This is going to be the hard part of this. So,
Yeah.
so let's get into that here. When were you diagnosed with cancer?
So 2019, so the year after I was here.
Oh, just 1 year later.
And I also got this amazing other job opportunity in between. So let me back up just a hair.
Yeah.
Because before I got this job, that's when Tim and I went to Churchill, Manitoba, and saw the polar bears. And we befriended a guide on our tour. It was a 7-day tour. We were on one of those like polar rovers that goes out across the tundra. And you go in November, because that's when the seals give birth on the ice and the polar bears all come to feed. So anyway, it was amazing.
Isn't that an amazing opportunity, but also kind of a crazy thing to go see, because you know you're going there for watching them because they're coming out to kill these newborn seals?
We didn't see a lot of that.
You
So
didn't
that
see that?
happens further out on the ice, and
Okay.
you're not out there, but
Okay.
you get to see them. It's not as horrid as it sounds.
But
But that's why they're there.
Yeah,
So
you're there for this.
there.
You take these pictures, these beautiful creatures,
Right, but
and the
you know
timing
why
is
they're there.
you know why they're there is for this other horrific reason.
Right.
But it's part of the life cycle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So got to befriend our guide. We had a really lively crew, and my husband is a really funny guy and really playful when he's in that scenario. So they were setting mouse traps for the driver, for his fingers. I mean, that was the crew mostly, but we kind of got in on that with our guests, fellow guests, and it was just fun. We laughed so hard for so long, and so I think through that, our guide thought I was funny. But we connected on Facebook. And all of a sudden, he knew I was a wedding photographer. He asked everybody on that trip, like, what are you going to do with your photography? And he never really asked me. And I never talked to him a whole lot because I didn't want to take him away from people that he was teaching. Mm-hmm. So at the end, he came up and he asked me, so what are you going to do with your photography? And I said, well, I am a wedding photographer. And he hadn't known that. And so that's what he knows about me. And then we part ways, and we're on Facebook, and he's seeing my wedding blogs or whatever. And then all of a sudden, he's seeing nothing but eagles and brown bears. He writes me, he's like, where the hell are you? And what are you doing? And do you like it? So we got on the phone, and I said, yeah, I love it. And I said, I'm doing 3-hour tours, sometimes 3 hours a day. And he said, do you want to come to Yellowstone with me and do winter wolves? And I was like, this is my husband's dream trip. And I'm getting offered the job, and he's not allowed to come.
Oh, no!
And it was a very different job. It was 7 days with the same group.
Okay.
2 guides. Was it 12 people, so 6 people in each vehicle. You have the left and the right view out the vehicle. It was very, different, high-end, trips.
7 days with wolves in Yellowstone.
Well, it wasn't specific. So 7 days, I would pick people up in Montana, drive them through Lamar Valley, and then go to West Yellowstone and down to Jackson, drop them off,
Okay.
pick up a new crew, and
just
come back
reverse
through,
back.
and then, do that over and over. So I did three tours of that, which is all they kind of let you do because they're like, you're going to burn out. Yeah. It's 7 days a week. You're up at 5 a.m. making sure that you're having breakfast with these people, and then you're all day touring. You have dinner with them, and then you put on presentations at night, and you do it all the next day. And you're loading their 50-pound bags in and out of the rigs. Yeah. So it's a lot.
How many people on each tour?
So 12
tops.
People? Yeah.
Holy
with
cow.
2 guides, 2 vehicles.
Yeah, that's a lot for...
Yeah.
I can see why somebody would be burned out after 3 weeks of that.
For sure. But, so they usually hire biologists. They are not really interested in if you can take a picture or not. Even though they sell photography tours, they're like, that's secondary. The people who come here want you to know all there is to know about these animals.
About the animals.
So I crammed, and I crammed. And so the way it ran was I had to get hired by 2 companies. One was the guide that I had met. He works for Natural Habitat Adventures, the travel arm of the World Wildlife Fund. But he also has his own company, and they subcontract him to run the Yellowstone tours because that's where he lives. He lives near Jackson. And so he does that run. In winter, he does the polar bears and other things. He's amazing. So anyway, I had to get hired by both companies. And he was like, you're a shoo-in for me. You've got to impress them. So I got in, I worked my 3 trips, and I got all the, customer reviews and everything. And I had worked with, his name was Kurt Johnson. I'd worked with him for a full week and then some other people the other 2 weeks. And he loved my work ethic. He couldn't believe, I had asked for a reading list, and I read everything I was supposed to read, and I could relay the stories, and he said I kept people entertained. He did say, I thought you were funnier. No. Sometimes I bring the funny. But it was really good. And so Natural Habitat Adventures then said, do you want to come work with us globally? And so they had me lined up for Bryce and Zion and the Grand Canyon, and then they had me lined up for Glacier National Park, and then they joined forces with Lindblad and Nat Geo, and so I was going to be the first guide that would be the liaison, jumping from their company to go guide on in the Arctic or Antarctic, I can't remember, one of the poles with the penguins, and guiding on the tour the cruise ship. Going out on these little excursions.
So let me pause you right there, Kim.
Yeah.
If I was listening correctly, and I think I was, you started photography in 2013.
Yeah.
This is 2018.
Yeah.
And now you're guiding
I'm being offered this opportunity.
5 years.
Yeah.
Am I the only one that's kind of blown away by that?
Oh, no, mind blown. Yeah.
That quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing. And I was so excited. I was so excited.
I would hope you would be. That would be...
I mean, it was... The hard part would be being away from my husband.
Yeah.
But it was 3-week stints.
Yeah.
And then I come home. And then I'm not working at all, so we can do whatever we want. But, yeah, it was...
He had to be incredibly proud of you as well.
Yeah. He's always been in my corner through all of this. So, yeah. He and I were trying to work out the details, and I was getting ready for my first trip. And I knew I needed to go through, not just the learning, because that was going to be even faster than the first time. But they said they were trying to lump me in with all the canyons were kind of the same material, right? Yeah. And then Glacier wasn't too far off from what some of Zion in terms of natural science, yeah.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I'm learning all of this or about to learn it all, and I'm like, I got to go for all my health checks got to make sure, because I don't know when I'm going to be home to do this again
Yeah.
and on a regular basis, and getting like, how do you make an appointment 6 months out when you don't know what your schedule is? So I got everything done. And in there was my mammogram. And they said, we think we're going to send you to go see somebody today. And I was like, oh, that's not good.
That's not good.
So I went to see another doctor who was like, yeah, I am going to send you to a surgeon today. And I want you just to have a consult with her and get set for a biopsy. So we did that. A week later. The call came in and I was already stage 3. And
wow.
I had gone for all my mammograms. So ladies, get your mammograms, but also do your self-checks, because they didn't catch it. There's a type of breast cancer, and there are many kinds, but invasive lobular carcinoma. And it grows one cell at a time, not in a tumor. And it grows around structures already in your breast, so milk ducts, and it doesn't get detected until it's already in your lymph nodes under your armpit 9 times out of 10. And I think it's 10% of cases are what I have. So it's the rarer kind, but it's the deadlier kind. So I got my biopsy, and sure enough, it was confirmed, obviously. And then I got whisked into treatment. And I don't do well on any kind of chemicals in my body. I can't even tolerate shampoo well. So if there's formaldehyde in it, my face blows up and my eyes swell shut. So I have to be really careful about, the chemicals I expose myself to. And now I'm pumping these poisons into my body. And the first week I was in the ER, I think 3 times. I lost, was it 19 pounds in 10 days? Yeah, I was not dealing well with the treatment at all. So they stopped that. My oncologist said, I took an oath to do no harm and I'm killing you. So she stopped that until I could have surgery, and then she came up with a synthetic version she thought I might respond better to follow up with surgery. The crazy thing is I only did half of the treatments, and I don't remember anymore. I mean, there were so many doctor's appointments. I don't remember exactly what the regimen was. If it was like, I want to say it was 12 and I did 6 or something. But when they did the surgery, the cancer bed was 10 centimeters and by 5. And that bed had been reduced by half, just from doing half the medication.
Oh, wow.
So we learned that as hard as it was on my body, it was equally as hard on my cancer.
On the cancer, yeah.
So, they kind of joked and like, what if how amazing would it have been if you could have finished? And I'm like, yeah, that's real funny. Yeah. Like, I wish I could have.
Yeah.
But I did go through a second round and could only complete half of that. But then they found out that I was actually NED status. Meaning,
you were what?
It means no evidence of disease. They can't say you're cured because there's no cure, but they can say there's no evidence of disease anymore. Okay. And I got to that point.
And that was, so your diagnosis was 2019?
May 2019, I think, or April, something.
And so you go through these treatments, you go through the surgery, you go through more treatments.
And then radiation.
And then how long was it till they said?
18 months.
18 months.
Yeah, we had to take breaks in between some of these treatments for 2 weeks instead of 1 week, where sometimes they were supposed to be every 2 weeks, and I had to go longer because I couldn't tolerate it. I left my body a couple times.
So part of that is also when you're getting into COVID.
Yeah, and I finished right as COVID hit.
Right as COVID hit.
Yeah. In fact, Tim was like, you've never seen the Grand Canyon. Let's go to Vegas in the Grand Canyon. I had a friend in Vegas. He was in the show he was in Cirque du Soleil. And he's like, I'll get you tickets. We go, we do all the things. We took a helicopter into the floor of the Grand Canyon, went on a boat ride down there, all the things. And then while we're there, they shut down the strip.
Okay.
And we didn't know if we could get home.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I also caught you So that was on my mind. But then as you were finishing up before I asked that question, you said you left your body a few times.
Yeah.
Describe that to me.
Yeah.
What was that like?
The first time was really weird. So it was after I'd lost all that weight. I had no strength left. And after 9/11, we can go down this road another time, but after 9/11, I was, as a flight attendant, I watched it in person. And so I was in therapy at that time. And so I reconnected with my therapist when I was re-diagnosed.
You were a flight attendant when 9/11 happened?
Yeah. And I was, yeah. I don't know which story to go down right now, but yeah.
Let's continue down the cancer one here.
But we're
going to go back to that.
Okay. Yeah.
My gosh, woman. Kim.
Yeah. Whew. Yeah. So cancer. So I reconnected with my therapist from 9/11 days, and I was like, okay, here's what's going on. I'm not doing well. And there were times when the treatment was so horrible and my organs would inflame, and I couldn't even lay in bed without being in absolute agony. And I literally wanted out of my body. I would beat the walls. My poor husband would be like, you're hurting yourself worse. And it was like, it's different kind of pain. I'd prefer that. I just wanted out of my body, and I had no way out. And I'd saved pills from the surgeries that I had had. And I was like, if I need to take myself out, I will. Like, I can't do this. Like, there's no survival here that's worth it. And yeah,
How long did you endure that kind of pain?
Was
that months?
Yeah. Yeah, because then you'd have to walk back in and go do it all over to stick another needle in.
It was every time that they were giving you your treatments?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm in therapy, and Tim drove me to one of the sessions, and he gets me to the stoop. This is in Albany, and it's all the little brownstones, with the stoops, and he kind of sets me against the post of the stoop, and he's like, I'll go park the car, just wait here. And as he was, I'm still here, like up at standing level, and he's walking toward me, and he's looking down, and I realize my body is now on the steps, and I'm above it, and I'm looking at him from where I'd been standing. And he doesn't know, like, he's looking at me, and I remember just thinking, like, how am I even still standing, like, sitting upright? Like, how am I not just collapsed? Because I'm not in there doing that. I like, what part is body? What part is soul? Like, who am I right now? Where am I? How is this working? It was very confusing. But I was completely coherent. I mean, I wasn't on any, like, mind-altering medication, and I was wide awake. I was just, my body was dying from the treatment. And yeah. And then it just as fast, I was back in, and then we were going up the stairs, and I'm like, you're not going to believe what just happened.
So you told him right away that...
Yeah. And then I told my therapist.
What was Tim's reaction to that when you're telling him this?
I think it was just kind of like, whoa. I mean, he was also trying to make sure I was making it up the stairs because, he's behind me in case he needs to catch me. So I don't know. I don't know that we actually talked a whole lot about it in that moment. I think we talked more about it on the way home. Mm-hmm. But that was wild. And then it happened again. That time I kind of, you don't trust yourself with these things at first because they're just so abnormal to anything you've ever known. And I was in the ER having another spiked fever because this throws your white blood cell count all over the place, and they're testing for infection, and I'm like, it's just the chemo, and the mouth sores were so bad. All the skin in my mouth was all coming off, and I had pieces that were stuck to the roof of my mouth that were going down the back of my throat, and I couldn't swallow, and so they had to give me morphine just to be able to swallow. And I was in the hospital, I think 3 days dealing with that until I kind of got enough chemo out of my system to, like, make that stop happening. So the next time it happened was, like, during one of those serious pain bouts, and they had given me the morphine, but I was like, above the bed. And I'm like, oh, it's happening again. But I'm like, now is it the drugs? Like, I don't know. I'm not quite sure. But honestly, I mean, I think in my heart, I know it was the same thing that happened when I was fully coherent. And I'm glad the coherent one happened first, because then it kind of grounded me when I had the morphine going on. Yeah, and it was like, okay, I can attach myself to some reality, even though this doesn't feel real. Yeah. And then I started searching for that stuff on my own. It was like, I don't want to wait for this to happen. How do I get there? Yeah, without...
What'd you find?
My therapist was already dabbling in some other things, and she told me she had a tachyon chamber in her basement.
What?
I was like, that's what I said. What does that mean? And it's basically, it was a recliner, leather recliner, brown, kind of like this, and above it was a hexagonal piece of glass hanging from a chain with all these crystals around it. And the theory is, in this particular field of science, there's this particle that travels faster than the speed of light, and it has healing properties. And it's possible that it exists. Theoretically, it does. Some people think they've tapped into this and they can channel it, harness it, whatever. And I'm like, I'm dying. What do I care? Like, I'll try anything, right?
Yeah, why not?
Here's my $60. I'll sit in your chair. I'll hold these two rods and try to channel this in. She played like this, different healing frequency. And she said, you have, I think I paid for like half an hour, whatever, in this chair. And she put, an eye pillow over, sprayed some stuff, and walked out of the room. And I was like, I don't know what's going to happen here, but we'll figure it out. And I'm sitting there in the dark, and this music's playing. And I was like, all of a sudden, and it happened fast, I felt like I was floating. I don't know if it was through a body or through the universe, but there were these orbs, and I was floating through the blank space between these orbs, and they were lit from one side. So it felt like the universe, like the sun was illuminating planets. I don't know. Obviously never been here before. So I'm kind of floating through this black space and are they blood cells? I don't know. Going through, and in the distance is this child, and she's naked, and she has long brunette hair down her back, and she's crouched and crying. And I kind of float up behind her, and when she turns her face to me, it's me as a child. And I put my arm around her, and I felt instantly soothed myself. Like I was now mothering the me that had needed that always, and I could be that for myself now in a way that my mother never could. And then next thing I knew, I knew I was in the universe, not in a body, because I was looking down at Haines from above. It was Lutek specifically. I've been here obviously, guiding and everything. It's not and I don't know, it just felt like that's where I was supposed to be. And I think, part of what my draw is here, having grown up in New York, is like everywhere you look in New York, you can go to any historical, like you drive down the road and there's all these little plaques that are always like, Battle of so-and-so happened here, and this battle happened here and that battle. And it's just like, I think for me, I feel the blood in the land. Like there's been so much conflict and so much death and so senseless death and so much angst. And I feel like that land holds it. Just like I felt it when I went to the site of Wounded Knee, there's something there that just, and maybe because it's in my face all the time with those little placards, especially living in a little historical town, everywhere you go, that's how it is. But you don't have that here. Like, there's been conflict, but not that kind of bloodshed, right? Like, there's been cultural rifts. There's been the fight for gold, and there's been a lot of, landslides and that kind of thing. But I don't necessarily feel like it was the same level of human on human slaughter. And even when there has been conflict here, it's been in very concentrated, small spaces geographically compared with everything around it that's still wild. And I don't know, I think I just felt that here, that there's like this, I don't know, white light energy that comes off the mountains that just feels different here. Do you understand what I'm saying at all? Am I crazy?
No,
Okay.
I totally, I'm just trying to process this because was it just later in life that you started feeling this? Or was that something that when you were younger, you were kind of sensing that when you were in New York and being around that?
I don't think I knew it when I was in New York. I think only when I had something to compare it with.
To that
I was like, oh, that feels really
this
crappy there. Yeah. And it doesn't feel that way here.
I was just, while you're talking about that, I was just trying to process times when, I was at Little Bighorn or Antietam, Gettysburg, Manassas, and just, I want to go back to those places now and see if there's that different, because it might have been, but it didn't register with me.
Okay.
But now you've got my mind peaked that I need to go back to some of these places and see if I can feel that.
Yeah, I wonder if it works the same way.
Both, yeah.
In each direction, right? Like I grew up in it, and then I come here and I don't feel it anymore, and it was such a marked difference.
But also different people have sensitivities to different things. Not everybody has those same sensitivities, so that could be something that is more unique to you than me. That's a sensitivity that you...
And we know I'm hypersensitive.
No, I'm not saying that.
No, but medication-wise, all things,
with,
right?
With all of that going on, that might be more of a Kim thing, and I might not be able to feel that, but it does make me want to go back and visit some of these places and just try and be more present. Instead, for me, when I was there, it was just, as a history guy, it's like, I just wanted to be on the spot.
Yeah.
Right, and you're just.
But maybe that's because you are feeling that draw to it.
Yeah, and just imagining general. For me, when I'm in Gettysburg and Antietam, and just trying to picture the forces coming from the different areas that they were, and looking at the places that they were crossing. Mm-hmm. Who would do that?
Right.
This is these wide open fields. And you've got people marching across us, and these guys are behind this stone wall with cannons and rifles. Yeah, there were muskets at the time or whatever, but it's like, who thought that was a good idea? Right. That was the part that enveloped me. But I want to go back now and kind of tune in a little bit more and just rest in the area and see if I can pick up on what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be
if
you do, let me know.
Yeah. It's just giving me a whole new sense of that aspect of being in those historical sites. That's not an avenue that I'd thought of before.
Yeah.
But it makes a lot of sense to me that there would be that kind of an aura in that area.
Well, thanks for saying it makes sense.
when you would just think when there's that much conflict, that much death and injury. And at the scale that it was...
How does the earth not absorb that in some way?
With all of that blood coming in, it makes sense to me what you're talking about. And I just want to see if I can feel that same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like I said, let me know.
Thank you for planning one of my next trips.
You're welcome. Yeah.
So you're feeling that. And so Haines is giving you this... With that out-of-body experience where you're kind of seeing that LUTAC, so is that what you're like, hey, I need to get back up to Haines?
Yeah, but then there was one other time I tried the Tachyon chamber as well, because I was like, then I was sold, right? Like in the first 30 seconds, I had this whole experience, and then the next 29 minutes, I'm like, where'd you go? Wait, I'm just sitting here.
So it's just this really quick flash at the beginning.
It's really quick, but like the most meaningful. I mean, I carried that image with me into every chemo treatment going forward because that was me taking care of me in a way that only I could, Do
you feel then that helped you get through those continuing? That was a huge help to you?
Yeah, because I never knew it was going to happen. It was totally worth the $60. That was real medicine, right? Yeah. So I went back again, and that time was a little bit different, equally as quick. So I didn't pay for the full
Okay. Like, I'm only getting 30 seconds out of this half an hour. We need to renegotiate the pay rate.
And yeah, so the next time was really weird. I was actually seeing colors at that point, like these blobs of colors. And at first it was purple with like a blue hue around the outside. And then it turned this putrid lime green. Mm-hmm. And it kind of came up like right here. And then it started pulsing. And then it went whoosh. I thought, wow, was I just scanned by something? Like, that just felt really like something just was really looking. Yeah. And then all of a sudden I could see again here, even though I'm in New York, I felt like, so I was walking among the ferns in my head, and I could see their cellular structure with my plain eyes. Like the life force in each cell, they were glowing and the wind is blowing them and they're just like giving off this incredible light. And I was like, this is wild. And then I looked in the mountain and there was a rock face that caught the shadow just right. And it looked like an actual face. And the next thing I knew, I was underwater and I was face to face with a salmon. And I realized, like, I don't know if I realized, I felt in that moment that everything was completely connected. Like I was part of all of that. And again, a little 30-second, not even situation, but it made me feel less alone. Like not only could I take care of myself in a way that I knew how, now I knew I was part of something so much bigger. Because I've gone through the whole religious side of things. I was raised Catholic. My best friend's father wanted me to go to his non-denominational church. I got sucked into that for a while. I became a reborn Christian, got baptized, the whole 9 yards. And I think with all the abuse that happened in my family that I was praying to be delivered from and never was, I just lost faith. So this felt like me getting my faith back, not in a God, but in the universe as a whole, and that we are part of that. And then I started exploring more. So it went on from there. Then I started looking on the internet and finding some things that really kind of aligned with my experience and just different theories on souls. And one really, really struck me, and it made the most sense to me because it made it feel like the abuse was less cruel. And I needed that. So
explain that to me.
Okay.
Please.
So I have a real hard time with a patriarchal God, especially when everything we see in life comes from women. So I feel like the biggest lie we've ever been sold. No offense to anybody who believes, but I never bought into it as a child. I was always the child who questioned because I never thought it was fair that Eve got blamed for everything. So why should I have to carry original sin when she ate an apple that Adam also ate? And like, I mean, even at 7, I was questioning things, right? I was like always the black sheep in a religious class. But I found a way to seeing, I feel like, not just wanting to believe, but these experiences I had were about seeing that it isn't a man. I think it's whatever that source, love, life is genderless. We have gender here because we have to reproduce, but I don't think souls necessarily have a gender. And I don't know that it's necessarily one godlike entity. I feel like it's a collective soul. And the best way I can kind of figure out why we're here as we are is if you picture, those giant bubbles people blow. Mm-hmm. Let's say that's your soul, okay? And there's always that drip, right? Yeah. That kind of comes down and then it pops once the drip. But imagine that you don't pop. This is your soul. But you're not coming, like your entire soul doesn't come here to be in a body. It's going to sound trippy, I know. It's more like the density of spirit is such that you don't have a physical presence, right? I mean, that's kind of our general understanding. If we think of spirit, we don't have a density to it. There's no mass. But if we can this drip comes down, comes to earth, where everything is all time at all times, all knowledge. You can't grow when you don't have an A and a B, right? So we kind of crystallize into this mass. It's not our whole soul. And this is our humanity.
Okay.
Just this little bit of the soul.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily mean this is their only little drip either. We may have other drips in other lives and other timelines in this world. That's the part I got off of line. But the rest of it feels like my experience. But that part was kind of a trippy little like, huh. We could be living multiple lives at the same time, learning things as a soul in a way that we couldn't learn in a place that's all time, all knowledge at all times. You could never expand in that. And the universe is expanding. So how is the universe expanding? Well, maybe it's because we come here and we expand ourselves as all part of that universe. That's a lot. That's a lot.
That's a lot for me. I'm trying to process this all at the same time. So the question I have is, because you said that going through that helped you understand some of childhood trauma.
Yeah. So the reason for that.
How did that help you?
So the theory is we are all souls and we make an agreement to come here. Like we decide. We don't have to be here. This is the hardest school there is. And some people, some souls choose not to come. But if we're here, we've come because we don't know what we're going to learn exactly. Well, we know what we came here to learn. Mm-hmm. We don't know the method we're going to learn it. There are so many biological things at play, or just, there's gravity. There are all these natural forces at play here that you don't know how it's all going to align. But we do come here to learn something. And we make agreements with other souls for what that will look like in some respect. So let's say you come from a family, for me, that is not pleasant, and it's situated in this mindset of limitation, and there were many things, very bigoted ideas in my family, but that gave me something to push off of, because I always felt more open-minded. I was the black sheep forever raising any kind of questions. So I've pushed off, and I've now come into this being of who I am. So what if the people who we're pushing off of have made this agreement with us up here on this level, that it's not personal? They're doing this so that we escape, or we learn something, or it's just something that either pushes us in another direction or teaches us something in that scenario, however it plays out. But it feels a whole lot less personal. It feels like it's not about a God that's punishing you. It's like there are so many things that it erases for me that carry such negativity, that I feel like this is the type of belief that I, first of all, have felt, but then that I want to hang on to.
Yeah.
Because it's kinder. And there's a lot of really really just real violent, scary people in this world. And
there are, and we all go through those. Each of us has a different experience.
Yeah.
And we all have bad things that happen to us throughout our life.
Yeah.
And it's in a way, I don't know if fascinate is the right word, but watching how people respond to the bad things that happen, it sends some people off the edge into worse problems.
Right.
And other people grow strength from that. And kind of like you're saying, you kind of push back. It's like, okay, this puts me down this road. This has strengthened me. It's given me this resolve to do this. How do we balance that? Why is it that some people, is it the support system they have? Is it the belief system they have? Is it the souls that you're talking about? Was that predetermined that they're going to learn more by going off in this other direction?
Right.
It's always like, where is that balance?
Yeah.
Where some people get stronger and better after a traumatic experience, and other people just can't recover from it.
How does it cascade? Because if somebody does shrink and can't cope,
mm-hmm.
are they being that shrinking person to teach someone else?
That
right? Like, I mean, it could.
And like when they're talking generational trauma, because a lot of that is, you have child abuse, and because usually sometimes those people were abused, but it's kind of this learned behavior of how you treat kids, or how you treat your spouse, or a lot of these are learned behaviors, and they're from generation
Yes.
to generation to generation, and trying to break that cycle. I need to think about more what you're talking about, because that it does. I understand what you're saying there, and
Even
there's-
just like,
there's
even when
a lot
the
of
slide.
validity to that.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, just when the slide happened here, like even if it's not a person causing trauma, right?
Yeah.
Like
It's
the whole town coalesced around helping one another and cleaning up the beach and building a playground, and all the things that happened from in the moment seems like, and it was not, minimizing that at all. It was a tragedy. And then all these things happen too. Like it all coexists. And I don't know how to make sense of it all. I don't know that there's actually somebody up there planning a map. I don't know that that's true. But I do think that we come here knowing that there's going to be risk, that there are going to be things that are not pleasant, and we may not know what they are, but we came here because we know that they will change us. Just on the most basic level, like that. That feels like that part makes sense to me. And then, of course, I explored more. And I will tell you this part, because this part kind of, it really, it's where I felt everything I just told you that I've been reading. Same person, same therapist. She did a guided meditation with me where she asked me just to tap into my creative mind, which is not hard to do. And I laid down in a cot, and she basically, because it was a guided meditation, she would kind of lead the conversation, but then she would ask me questions and I would fill in the blanks. And so one of them was, you're walking down a well-worn path. Where is it? And I pictured Battery Point. It's always coming back to here. And okay, you're walking down that path. What does that path mean to you? And I'm like, well, clearly it's safe, or at least well-traveled. Like, it's worn. I'm not the first person on it, so I feel comfortable in that. And she's like, what else do you see? Do you see water? Do you see this? Do you see? And the part where my imagination came in was I saw a pond, which doesn't exist there. And she's like, can you go to the edge? Yes. Okay. So I go to the edge. She's like, are you alone? No, I'm not alone. And before we started this session, she was like, I call in on our spirit guides and blah, 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 right? And at this point, I'm still kind of like, I don't know where all this stuff fits. Okay, go ahead, call them in, fine. Yeah. She calls in hers, she calls in mine. She's like, oh, your grandparents are here, like, okay, cool. And so I'm thinking, when I see this being of light at the edge of the pond, that this is a spirit guide going to take me to meet my higher self, because this is the point of the guided meditation. This is what I'm paying for. And so she said, can you talk to this person? Is it male, female? Can you tell? And I said, it's female. Have you seen Twilight?
No.
Okay, it's the vampire movie. No.
In
the movie.
I'm not into vampires. But
okay.
I've heard about Twilight.
Okay. The only reason I bring it up, one of the filmic ways that they vampires are not supposed to be in the sunlight, right?
Yep.
The way they depicted it was kind of unique, and what they did was they showed that the vampires turned into almost like diamonds of light. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what I saw. I saw a being that looked like diamonds of light, but the light was different colors. So it was blue and silver and purple, like all the cool colors of the spectrum. And it wasn't hair, but it was light flowing off the back of this being's head in long waves. And I went up, and my therapist was like, can you speak to her? And I said, yes. And so we had this conversation, and I said, and she said she has something for you, which is just part of the guide. That's like normal. That's part of the prompt. And she said, you can either take it into your heart, or she can give you something physical in your hands. And what I was given was Now, let me start by saying I went into the session going, I'm dying. I don't know how much time I have left. And I don't know what to do with that time. Like, I feel like I can't start anything meaningful. I feel like I have no purpose because, like, I've finished all my projects. Now where do I go from here? What am I supposed to do with my time? And I got handed a blank slate. And I felt like that meant I can still do whatever I want. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter about the time. Just start it. Like, write whatever you want on this slate. And whatever, even if it's not writing, like, if it's photography, if it's crocheting a fairy coat for the wearable art show, like, you know, which I did. You know, whatever it is, like, you have a blank slate. You still have, just do whatever you want with it. But it felt more meaningful than just do whatever you want. Like whatever I was going to choose, I felt like it had weight to it. But now I have like this being, and she's like, you know, can you interact with her in another way? And so she and I danced, but I knew all the moves she was going to do because she was me. And so we were in perfect sync at the edge of this pond, which was wild. Just doing these twirls. And I mean, it was amazing. So, okay, I come out of this experience and I go home and I'm like going through all my stuff because I don't want to leave it off my husband, right? I'm literally like reassigning accounts to his name and I'm cleaning out all my stuff and giving things away. And I find this art journal from 4 years before. And one of the prompts was draw a self-portrait in crayon and write some words. I don't remember exactly what it was, but write some important words on whatever topic, right? And the image is a woman with flowing purple, blue, green, and silver waves coming off the top of her head. And I don't remember what the words were, but it was so applicable. And so I sent it to my therapist and I'm like, this is wild. I'm like, I've already met myself, but which makes sense because I am me. So, you know, all of this is starting to come together for me. And she's like, very good, you know. I was like, okay. Yeah. So I did it one last time because I was having a really hard time. This was all still during treatment. So like all of this was, you know, 2019-ish. And so I do it one more time. And this time felt a lot less profound. And I was like, I don't really feel like, I don't know, I didn't get like all jazzed up and my heart didn't race. And
did it get all the good stuff in the first ones? Is this diminishing returns? Is that what you're thinking?
I think the human side of me was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. But by the second after I had like comprehended that I have this higher self, like I never knew what a higher self was until I met myself there. And now it was wild because it felt so familiar that it didn't have that special resonance.
Okay. Yeah.
And now we danced. She asked if we could dance again. And this time I was her. We weren't separate and I knew the moves because I was her. But this time we were both the same person. It was, yeah. And so my therapist said, listen, you don't need me to do, like, this isn't about me making money. Like, you can access this anytime. You just have to ask for it. And now that you know it exists, it's going to come whenever you need it. And I had another really terrible night. It was one of those nights where I was thinking about that bottle of pills. And I was just holding my breath so I didn't wake my husband while I was sobbing. And I remember laying there going, I'm not asking for a whole lot. I don't want you to, like, clearly I'm here for whatever I'm here for. I'm not asking to be healed. I'm not like, but if you could just take some of this emotional pressure away, then I can learn what I'm here to learn. Like, this is crushing. And it felt like these two fingers came down, touched in right here, went right through me and swirled around. And I'm now stifling giggles. I am now at the point where I can't hold them back. And now I'm trying not to wake my husband up from those. And that level of depression never came back ever again in all the things that I've had to endure since. because the comeback of cancer, the trying new treatments, like all the things that I've been through since. Unbelievable. Like never got that level of depressed, never thought about that bottle of pills again. And I also stopped asking for that access because I felt like I'm here to be human. And there are all these humans that I've been learning about and meeting who are clamoring for whatever's out there. And I'm like, that's not the point of being here. We're here to be here. So I just kind of embraced being human and thought, this is what it's about right now. I can do that anytime. I'm not here for that. So
I'm sorry if I'm looking dumbfounded here, because this is, I knew we were going to have an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
But this has gone so far past, this has been amazing. The things that you've been sharing.
Well, and let me tell you, I've told people in person sometimes, but I've still not even on my YouTube channel told anybody because I know what's coming for me. I mean, I get all the, most people, 99.9% of people are supportive, but I know the ridicule that will come. And but
who cares? This
I don't really. I just don't want.
Yeah.
That's why I don't want to do it though, because I'm like, I mean, I am here, but I don't want to be sidetracked by it, I guess, is the thing. And I don't want my people that follow me for my cancer story to be sidetracked by defending me in the comments, because that's also what happens, right? So that's the only reason I've held back. But I've been considering more and more, like, actually sharing, because I know that doesn't matter. And maybe it'll give somebody else comfort that feels like the world is against them. Yeah.
Do you think you would have been able to tap into that if you weren't going through the cancer and everything, that just if you were going to your therapist and she put you in that seat and everything,
maybe that.
Do you think that would have?
I don't know that I would have asked. I wouldn't have asked for it. It wouldn't have been like, all right, like what's going on here? I feel like I need to know how this all works. And I feel like I did at that time. Like I was like, all right, what's next? What am I facing at the end of this?
I want to go to New York and go see this therapist.
I think they have in California too and other places.
It's like, yeah, my mind's blown. It's like,
yeah,
how do each one of us experience something like that? It's
wild.
That kind of experience, because you're not on any hallucinogenic pharmaceuticals at this time. This is an all natural experience,
right?
To have this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
It was, yeah.
And I love the fact that...
And my husband's an atheist, so this is really funny because he's like, what?
Well, I love the fact of it that you could have continued tapping into this, but the lesson you got out of this is, I just want to be present here. Yeah. This is what I'm supposed to be doing here as a human. That's going to come later. Yeah. And I think in a lot of ways in life, we are looking to the future. We're looking tomorrow or next week, what comes later, instead of just where are we today in the present with the people that are around us.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I
that's
started
a cool gift
really
that you have
that.
To be, especially with everything you're going through, to just be present.
Well, and kind of like the, what I just mentioned about YouTube, like is it insignificant? Yes. But it's also, where do I want to spend my energy? Right? Like, that's why I'm making careful choices. Because I don't want to create scenarios where I'm distracted and then feel like I'm drawn into those spaces.
And it's very easy to get drawn into negative energy. Yeah. There is a lot of that out there.
Yeah, there could be 1,000 really nice comments, and it's the one that will spin me for a day, Yep. Just makes me wonder how people can look at something that is either healing or painful or whatever, however they see the world, and then just that's how they respond. But maybe that's what they're here for.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's what they're here for, and I think that's just what they've... I don't know if they... I'm trying to figure out the right way to say this. That... Are they scared by what you're talking about? Does that worry them? Does that scare them? Does that unsettle them in a way?
I think in some people...
Do they try to diminish you because they know they can't feel that, or what they feel in that instance is something totally different that might not be as uplifting as the experience you had?
I think so. With the comments that I've been getting that are, not aligned with everyone else. So when I was leaving here last summer, I had opted for no more treatment. I mean, it's just horrific every time I try. And the things that I thought I'd have to go through, I ended up opting for, and they have been as horrific. But at the time, I was like, no, I'm just going to go back to New York and enter hospice. And a lot of people were following my journey. They saw everybody here at the dumpster fire of goodbyes, everybody coming and writing, F cancer or whatever, and paper, throwing it into our fire. We set it on fire. I drive away. I end up in New York, and, everybody's expecting that to be the end. And then my doctor said, you can't do anything diagnostic when you're in hospice. If you want to know exactly what state you're in, because nobody here had ever done a scan. They were just going off of, I think they just kept repeating the same thing that every doctor had said without actually looking at what was going on inside. Now, cancer is all through my abdomen. It's around my bowels. It was in my spine, we thought. It's in my ovaries. It's in a lot of places. But the thing that's going to kill me is when I have a bowel obstruction. These tumors are going to grow big enough that that's going to happen. And so, yeah, I wanted to know what time frame I was looking at. I knew New York was going to be enacting the death with dignity law, or at least I'd hoped it was really close at that point. And so I wanted to know, where am I in all of this? Will I get the chance to choose that? Because I wanted that. One thing I learned about bowel obstructions is that even in hospice care with access to morphine or whatever, sometimes it takes 3 days to get the pain under control. The medication may not be the right medication. They need to experiment with a few things. That takes time. And this could be excruciating. And so while I'm prepared for everything else, that I don't want to experience.
You've been through enough excruciating pain.
Yeah. So, and I don't want my husband to watch all of that. Like, that is just cruel and unusual punishment. Yeah. So I have this scan, and we find out that, yes, all the cancer is still there, but it hadn't grown as fast as they predicted. And so my oncologist said, there's a treatment I have so much faith in. She'd been watching it since the trials. She may have even been part of the trials. I think she was, because she used to work for Sloan Kettering in Manhattan. And she said, it's going to be a little bit of a trick to get you on this. It's not that I didn't qualify for the drug, but the usual ways of determining that were not registering. So insurance, probably wouldn't have covered if I didn't. So she's very smart. This is why I love her. She's kept me alive for 7 years now. And she found a genetic test that insurance didn't want to pay for, but they accepted the results.
Okay.
That said that while the genes express different things, and so one of the things is the HER2 gene expression, and if you're very low in that, this drug does really well for people with breast cancer like mine. I was showing up as HER2 0, meaning I wasn't eligible. But she said, that's in trials now. They're going to start using it in that way for people that don't register. But I did register in this other test. So anyway, I ended up falling into that category, justified it. Insurance bought into the whole line of how this works. 4 months I spent trying to get the dose right so that I could be sitting here now. It was 4 months in bed. It was horrible. The first time I was in the ER because I was having cognitive issues where I would look at different places in the room and my brain wouldn't track with my eyes. And then I couldn't reach for words. And we were like, what is happening to my brain? This is not good. So I ended up in the ER. They gave me a lumbar puncture. The one drug I don't overreact to is lidocaine and Novocaine, the 2 drugs. And that's what they were putting in my lumbar section to do the lumbar puncture. And I felt all of it. And so that was excruciating. And it felt like it just never ended. They just kept digging, and then they never even got the sample. I go through all of these other things. Now I'm posting on YouTube with, okay, well, we tried this and this is what I'm experiencing, right? And I'm getting comments saying, how are we supposed to follow this girl? Like, first she's dying, then she says goodbye to all of her friends. She goes all the way to New York, and now she's apparently fine enough to go back to Alaska. They clearly hadn't been watching the whole time, right? But whatever.
So
and then they said...
they're ticked off that you're still alive.
I'm not, yeah. I'm still alive. But I think what was happening, because some of the comments started adding up, and I could track that person and where they had commented. I get so many comments. I couldn't remember whose name was what and who said what. And when I found where they had been commenting, I got to a story of, I lived with somebody who died from cancer.
Okay.
And they didn't look anything like you.
Okay.
And what you're doing is lying to everybody.
They think this is a ruse.
Yeah.
That this is just a story to get...
Yeah. Which, as a woman, not being believed is a really difficult thing in general. And as, sexual assaults and all the things,
do
right?
people not understand that everybody has their own... Not everybody's going to look the same that goes through cancer. Not everybody's going to look the same that has whatever illness or whatever thing we have in life.
One would hope, but no.
Yeah.
No. And I would explain. I would take the time to explain, listen, bowel obstructions are not a problem until they're a problem. You go on with life as normal. And
unfortunately, though, Kim, too, there are people that do that fake this to get money, to get sympathy, whatever. Which
is funny because, I think I probably make I put one video out. It took me 4 hours to put together, and with all the people that have watched it, I think I've made $100. It's not worth it.
No, but I mean, there's people that go out to their community and do GoFundMe's and stuff like that.
Right.
And it not that it's a YouTube thing, but there's other ways that they raise crazy amounts of money, and then it finds out that they were never sick to begin with.
Right.
And so it can be hard for a lot of people to not. Which is this?
True.
We were told it was going to go down this road, and instead of being happy that Kim's still with us,
right,
they're looking as well, the person that I loved didn't get that extra chance that Kim got, and so they're probably upset at that, and they've heard enough stories of people that were faking that they're and some of it could just be the resentment that the person that they loved, they didn't get that second chance with.
Yeah.
Which sucks for them.
Yep.
But we should still be happy that Kim's still here.
I am.
We should be able to... I am. But how come we can't have both feelings? How come we can't be sad that that person didn't get as much, but they take that anger and that sadness and they hold it against you because you've had a better outcome to this point, and we don't know how much longer that's going to last.
Right.
But
and then there are people who doubt the hospice care here. They don't understand that there's not a medical component that is reliable. Right? Mm-hmm. That our doctors also work in the clinic. We don't have a hospital. There are limitations here, and people were calling me a liar because I was signed up for hospice here and I did it myself, which you can't do in the lower 40. You can't sign yourself in, right?
Okay.
You need a recommendation from a doctor, and then it's people who know how to deliver medication, right? You don't have the same services here. Well, that earned me badge of liar as well. So I'm going to point them to your podcast with Shannon and tell them that that is absolutely real. But I don't I don't want to waste my time in the space either, because if people don't understand, they don't want to know. They're not asking a question. They're telling me who I am, which means that they're not willing to listen anyway.
They don't want to listen. They have their own story, and it goes beyond just cancer, grief, dying. That in so many ways in our society, that people, they have their story. That's their life experience, and they have very difficult time accepting that somebody else has had a different life experience, and being able to relate to that person has a different idea, different outcome. They think, well, I did this, this, and this. The outcome should be the same. It's not the same for everybody.
Right.
We all have our own path to go down.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you're having to deal with that. It's enough that your health issues are enough that you've been battling for 7 years.
Exactly. And then this was not a channel I planned on starting. This channel started accidentally, which is a weird story too.
Tell us.
But
how'd that start?
So I was here for the winter, overseeing our house, the final building. Tim was back in New York, and that's when we learned that the oral drugs I was taking were no longer keeping cancer at bay.
Okay.
And so I'm here alone in the winter, and that's when I decided I wasn't going to go forward with treatment, right? And then so Tim came back for that summer, and then we went back to New York for hospice care, because that's just the general time frame. I was really upset because I was told that the medication I was on could buy me up to 10 years. And I was like, I'm going to get 20 out of it. I was all like positive energy, right? And I got 7 months. So I felt really cheated. I wasn't sure that anything else was going to work. Feeling pretty defeated. And Tim and I had been in dog rescue for decades. And so I had this old channel from like 20 years ago where I used to do, animal videos. And nobody's used it since. Like that was... I think I might have put some puppy videos up when we got our Newfoundlands, and that's about it. But nobody watched them. So I was like, okay, this is probably a safe space to put a longer video, and then just give links to my family, because I couldn't make that phone call over and over and over again. It was it was exhausting just having one
Great
and
way
then
to
have
do
to
that.
go.
Yeah, just send a link to everybody.
Yeah. So
I can't imagine how emotionally draining that would have been to make those phone calls.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot, because you're breaking someone's heart with every single phone call and having to relive it over and over again. So I did this. It's just me sitting on my couch talking into my phone. This is the lowest key thing ever. I throw it up there and I share the link, and then the numbers start going up, and then they keep going up. And next thing I know, I get a phone call from some woman on the East Coast whose mother took turkey tail, and she thinks I should do that too. And then I was getting emails through my my art website that wasn't even really ready for consumption yet, but people were looking for me. And what happened was, the link was on Threads, because I didn't realize when I posted to my friends on Facebook that my account was attached to Threads.
Okay.
And people on Threads are not like Facebook. Like these are strangers who buoy you up. Like I feel like it's a huge support group over on Threads. It's kind of an amazing place. And all these people started commenting, and it went up in the algorithm, which meant more people watched the video. So back on YouTube, that algorithm was getting kicked off. Somehow it must have taken off really fast. A lot of people in a really short amount of time, because then YouTube put it on its front page.
Oh, wow.
And I had, I'm talking in an hour, I had 180,000 views, which I was not prepared for, I will tell you. And in the video...
this is something you're just doing for your family and friends.
Yeah.
And now you've got 180,000 people that have watched it.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was that feeling like?
It was overwhelming.
Because this was kind of a private thing that you were doing.
Yeah, and it's not that... So my cancer was never private. When I was... My first diagnosis, back in 2019, I shared... I would journal write and then just post it straight to Facebook.
Okay.
And that was my way of coping, because I felt like those are my friends, right? Those are people I know. But I could reach a wider audience. But then people were like, wow, I didn't even know cancer patients go through that. I didn't even know that they could feel that trapped in their body, or that your organs can swell and you can't roll over. I know people who have cancer. They're like, I have friends who have cancer who don't talk about any of that.
Yeah.
And so I kept writing. So that part was semi-public. This was a whole different ball game. And it got... I have to say, it was a little scary, because now it's it felt like the world, even though, that's not a huge amount in the grand scheme of things. There are people who have millions, but it was a lot. It was a lot. And that they were reaching out to me in places that they could touch me, right? Through my phone, through my work website, through, emails. And some of the stuff, is hard to take because it was a lot of personal stories in return, and I wanted to hold them all. Like you,
Boy, that's an awful lot, Kim.
yeah,
You've got your own story going on, and then a lot of people sharing theirs.
Yeah.
And trying to hold those.
And it's impossible. I mean,
Yeah.
I couldn't do it all. I would for hours just sit and respond to people and be like, I hear you, even if that's all I could say. It was just like, I hear you. But there was something that was interesting. So one of the things there were two things I said that were really fascinating, the way that they played out. Because one of them was to my family saying, I'll keep you in the loop as things go forward, which the whole world now thinks that that's what I meant.
That's it. You can keep them in the loop.
And then the other thing was, the only regret I had was never getting my art situated enough to sell it before I was gone. Like, for more people to see it. It wasn't about the selling so much, which, I mean, that's important, but nobody had seen it. I had hard drives worth of stuff that I've never shown the world. Some of it I even looked at since I shot it. So, so the two things that came out of that were people craving conversations about death. And I'd already had all those thoughts years ago of what this means for me. And so I started sharing more about that. And then I did a couple Q&As, and then I mostly ended up doing like health reports because now people were invested. And if I didn't show up every 2 weeks, people would be like, well, are you okay? Are you still alive? So I keep going back. But yeah.
I imagine there's times it's extremely tough for you to do that, especially when you're getting some of you get overwhelming positive, but the negative comments. Mm-hmm. But I think being able to share that as honestly as you do brings comfort to a lot of people that have family or friends that are going through that, because they might not want to ask those questions, but they're hearing that from you, and so they get a better sense of what the people close to them are going through.
Right.
It's a gift.
I wish I had it. I wish I had known, not just for me, but for my friends before me, you know? And so I see the value in that. That's the only reason I keep doing it. Like, it's a pain in the butt. It's not an easy task. You know, I spend so many more hours editing than I do putting it together or re-recording a sentence I wish I had said better.
You need a Sam or a Marty.
I need a Sam or a Marty.
They're amazing at that.
Yes.
My editing is so smooth.
Yeah.
As soon as we wrap up, they take the discs and away they go, and then it shows up.
That's amazing.
You need a Sam or a Marty.
I need a Sam or a Marty.
Yeah, I can put you in touch with Sam and Marty if you want to use their resources.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know. But yeah, it's mostly because I see what happens. There was a woman once, and this one I put in my journal because I just wanted to hold on to this story, but she was like, how do you, even in the bad days, like, keep getting up and doing it all over again? She had some sort of oral cancer, and so they had to remove part of her jaw. Like, she had a tube that was going in through her face. She didn't want to go outside. She felt, her words, not mine, but hideous. She was living with her husband and didn't want him to look at her. She didn't want to get out of bed in the morning. And like, people like that are the ones that really get me.
Oh, absolutely.
I didn't think I had anything to say. And all I said was, find the tiniest thing that is one hair better than the other thing that you're doing, and do that thing. If you're drinking a cup of tea, can you spice it up? Can you wear a tiara while you're drinking it? Like, I don't care what it is, but do something that is just a little bit better than what it was before. And then build on that. The next step, choose something that brings you a little bit more joy than where you are right now. You're not looking for yourself to be like completely soothed. You need to climb out one little bit of joy at a time. And she wrote me back the next day, and she said, I did it. She said, I made myself a special drink. I even got dressed up and went out with my husband to the garden store and bought flowers. I dropped some off with a friend on the way home. And then I came home and I put him in my garden. It's like she changed her whole day by drinking a different cup of tea.
Different cup of tea. Yeah.
And I just thought, oh my gosh. And that was something I heard from someone else that helped me. It's not like I came up with something genius. I just shared it and it helped somebody. And then I was like, I can't not share things that help me, right?
Yeah.
Because it mattered to me, it mattered to her.
You see that quite often where a smile or just a word of encouragement, just a little bit.
Yeah.
You never know in the moment what thing that you might say or gesture you might do that uplifts somebody else that's, you don't know what they're going through. Yeah. In your case, you knew what that person was going through, but in our everyday life, the people around us, oftentimes you have no idea the struggles that they're having.
Mm-mm. And we all have them. And
we all have them.
We end up ranking them against somebody else, but
we're
it
always
doesn't
comparing.
matter. It like your struggle is your struggle. It doesn't matter that someone has it worse. Like it's real. It's real to you, and that matters. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And how do we give them that little bit of ray of sunshine that gets them, like that cup of tea that gets them to that next step?
Right.
You just build on that. I think that's great advice, Kim. Just do something, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you look at the big whole, if you look at the big picture, it gets daunting as heck. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of like that old saying: "How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time."
Right.
It's just that one. You got to take the first little step, and then another little step.
Yeah. And
there's probably going to be setbacks.
Mm-hmm.
But you just take another step.
Yeah.
Which is a lot easier to say than actually do.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
So should we pivot back to 9/11?
Sure. Because that's easy.
Just go to a lighter topic. Not.
Yeah.
So you were you on duty on September 11th?
No, I was in recurrent training. So it was my 4th year of flying internationally, and the job had been super light up until then. I remember thinking, like, this feels like it doesn't have any bigger purpose for me. I love that I get to see the world. I had 24 hours in every city that I could just go play. And so I'd go see Shakespeare plays in Stratford-upon-Avon, or I'd go see The Last Supper, or walk on top of, the Duomo in Milan, or like just all these really cool experiences. I wish I was a photographer then. That would have been amazing. But I was back in New Jersey, Secaucus, New Jersey. That's where our training center was for Continental at the time. That was the airline I worked for. And I was cramming for weapons identification, for hijacking scenarios. I was cramming for, delivering a baby in the back alley. Like, all the things I need to know, how to deploy the slide, all the things. And, that first one on the list, I did not think I'd ever need. And I'm downstairs in the lobby and kind of cramming through my book. And all of a sudden, 2 people go running by and they're like, "You can't see it from here." And I'm like, "See what?" And they're like, "Come with us." And we went up 1 floor, and the building's all windows, right? And we're facing Lower Manhattan. And the first plane had gone in. And of course, we thought it was an accident, as others have been. Yep. And as we're watching the smoke billowing out, we watched the second plane hit. And then we knew, something was happening.
You're in Secaucus, New Jersey, looking at this happen in real life.
Yeah. Yeah. So we didn't have, it's another time, right? Like, you've got flip phones and you have, our televisions were not all hooked up to cable there. We had VHS players. And it was a training center. You just put the VHS in that you needed. You only use the TV for that. So we were trying to get a channel on it, but we could get, like, I don't remember if it was UHF or VHF, the fuzzy one, right? Mm-hmm. And we caught a Spanish channel, and somebody there kind of knew Spanish and heard only something about, and I don't know why they would even know these words, but they understood something about remote control cockpit. Were the words that they pulled out, and terrorist attack. I don't know if they had the word terrorist specifically, but we all kind of interpreted that after the fact. And I mean, it was obvious, you know, I mean, your brain just goes there. And then our trainers came in and they gave us the official word and told us what they knew was going on, because it was unfolding. You know, people didn't know minute to minute. You'd get a little bit more news. Now that plane went down at the Pentagon, and you know it. So as the towers were burning, I was trying to call my mom in Manhattan. She's lived there since I was 7. My stepdad had a studio in Lower Manhattan. I didn't know where he was. It was a lot of chaos. They wanted us to go to Newark International Airport and evacuate it, because they could, you know, we were educated at least in where to go and all of that. So they were gonna get a bus and take us over. And in the middle of all of this, people were told just to hunker down and sit still. So as we're sitting on this floor, there's a payphone, but people are trying to use their flip phones and the cell service is all jammed. But when people could get through, I heard people next to me begging their parents not to jump from the top of the towers. And then I get in the elevator because I'm like, oh my God. And I get in the elevator to go to my car so I could at least be by myself. And I knew that there was a flight ban, okay? But I get in the elevator and there are 2 women in there holding onto each other and they're crying because they put their best friends on the flight from Boston to New York to come party that night. And they were the ones that crashed. And so I went out to my car and I can't find it, and I'm calling my ex-boyfriend. At this point I'm living in Albany with somebody, or I'd moved there with somebody, and then we broke up and I got this new lease by myself. And I'm like, do I even have a job? Like, I don't even know now. But I'm trying to call him because we're still friends. And I get a hold of his dad, and his dad's like, you know, where is he? And I'm like, I don't know. I thought maybe you would know because I can't reach him. And he's like, oh my God, he's not in New York City, is he? And I'm like, no. He's in Albany. I'm in, you know, near New York City. I'm like, I'm the one that's here. I'm just trying to talk to him about what I'm seeing. He's safe. Okay. And I get on the phone with him finally. And I'm turning around trying to find my car. I can't remember what level I parked. My brain is not registering anything that's going on. And I'm on the phone with him, and this helicopter starts hovering over the parking garage. And there's a flight ban. And I'm like, who the F is that? Am I next? Not like... It didn't make any sense. Like, why would they target a training? Like, I mean, after the fact, but when you're sitting there under a helicopter during a flight ban after a terrorist attack, you're not making sound judgments, right? So I ducked behind this green pickup truck and I curled into a ball and I just started rocking, going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Yeah. I thought it was over then. I thought I was going to be done. And I did find my car, and I started driving back to Albany, and it was the most beautiful day. I remember being really ticked that I didn't bring my camera that morning, because the mist from Albany to New York was just hanging between the trees, and the sunrise was coming up. It was so beautifully gold lit. All that mist was lit in gold. And anyway, I'm on my way home. And I missed my exit for Albany because the traffic was ridiculous. I mean, people are driving on the side of the road. People are shouting at one another. And I'm on my phone with my dad. There were no cell phone laws at the time. and I'm like, I'm telling him what happened. And he's not getting any of it. He hadn't seen the news. He'd been at the park feeding the geese. He has no idea what I'm talking about. He's like, you realize what you're talking, you sound like you're talking about the War of the Worlds. And I was like, this is real. Turn on your television. And somebody cut me off from the shoulder of the road, and I remember just yelling an obscenity, and I'm like, I have to go. But that's how I missed my turn, and I had to drive back. And when I turned back, I had already, from the parking garage, watched the second tower crumble. And so I knew it was just pillars of smoke at this point, but I had to turn back and just keep driving toward it until I got back to turn. I stopped at a rest area, and it was so bizarre because people just, they knew it, they had heard about it, but they're still ordering McDonald's. And that just, nothing felt more bizarre to me than seeing people just milling about doing normal things.
Mm-hmm.
And Howard Stern was on the radio clamoring for war, and I was like, we don't even know who did this. Who are we supposed to bomb? Like, what on earth? And nothing made sense. And so I got to Albany, and some friends of mine were there. I was sharing the apartment, I think, at that point with another woman, and she and her friends were like, you know, let's go out to the park. And I was just like looking at the Corning Tower going, I can't be here. Like, this all just feels too dangerous.
This is a really tall building.
Yeah. And so what I didn't know at the time was, like, I was already starting to react in ways that were, you know, very PTSD. And I would sit and watch television 24/7. I wouldn't sleep because I kept looking for the same image I saw and couldn't find it anywhere. And I was like, maybe it's not real if I don't see it, you know, and the things that just weren't making sense. So this is why I got a therapist. But yeah, it was, my parents were, my father and I have both my parents I have not spoken to in decades. But at the time I was still connected with them. And my dad's like, a week after I got called in to fly the first flight out of Newark to Birmingham, England. And I was supposed to take the people who were stranded in Halifax, Nova Scotia for that week. They were coming from Birmingham to begin with to go through Newark to Orlando to bring their kids to Disney. They get stuck in a sports arena for a week being donated food and blankets. Yeah. And then they get shuttled back to Newark, where I'm now taking them back to Birmingham. So I showed up ahead of time. I was telling my mom, I can't do this. I can't get back on that airplane. I'm like, I know what happened to those flight attendants. I know they had their throats slit. Like, they canceled our training program and said none of it's valid anymore. Like, everything we've taught you
everything we taught you, we got to redo it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm like, so how do I stop a terrorist? I basically felt like I couldn't wear the stripes anymore is what it came down to. It was like the responsibility of the stripes. Could I fly as a civilian? Maybe, but definitely not as a flight attendant expected to save somebody. I had no rule book for that. And so my mom was like, I think you're overreacting. I think they probably have things in place now. And I'm like, they don't. I'm like, they have pilots coming through security with knives and guns just to see if they can do it, and they're doing it. I'm like, we know that you can smuggle things on these planes now. We know from firsthand from the pilot I'm flying with, you know, like, and you know, these people that were standing at security from the National Guard or whoever got sent in, they were carrying weapons that had no ammunition in them. Like, and what are you going to do? Shoot up an airport with an automatic weapon? Like, what? Like, none of this makes sense. And my dad was like, just get back on the horse. So I went to see my my supervisor, who I always got along with great. And she wasn't in. And the guy that was taking her place, he started yelling at me. And he's like, if you can't get on that airplane, you don't deserve to be a flight attendant. You're going to lose your job, your health insurance. You won't be able to pay your rent. And I'm like, I can't pay my rent now. And I just felt like it was coming at me from all sides. Like, just get on the plane. And so I got on the plane. And I cried in the galley as people were boarding, as I was prepping the meals. And people were crying with me because they got on and they got in their seats and they were terrified to fly. I'm not giving them any confidence. And then I have the jump seat that faces the back of the plane. So I'm facing all these scared people, and we are all, and then they turn the lights out because this is a night flight. This is going to England. Yeah. It's, you know, later in the season, dark already, 6 o'clock, whatever. And we turn off the lights, and now the cabin's dark. And that's what it was like when those flight attendants had their throats slit. So, yeah, I'm crying, they're crying, we take off. And when we get there, I got an email saying that the company was providing company offered leaves. If you wanted to sign up now, you could. Checked my name off on that list. Like, yeah. I had no plan, but I knew I couldn't do this anymore. And I came back. I was granted the leave. And then it was like, now what? Yeah. I got out of my lease. I moved in with a friend in a small town of like 400 people outside of Albany. And it's this historical little town, no street light, no pizzeria, no nothing. And I lived with her for a little while. And then I moved into a house down the street that I think the owner lived in Colorado. He was a master gardener. He bought this little colonial house. And I moved in there, and it was kind of falling apart. And so for rent, I would paint walls or tend the garden and send in pictures of what I had fixed and the floors I had stained. And I just became a hermit for 3 years, basically. Couldn't leave the house. Drank a lot. And I got side jobs for the Edmund Niles Hike Preserve. So I worked with a scientist basically collecting leaf litter out of the forest floor, counting how many bugs were in it. It's for a salamander study, like just random scooping chicken crap out of farms for $25 a day. Like, I didn't care. I didn't want to go corporate after what corporate made me feel. And yeah.
So after 3 years, what was the turning point that brought you out of that?
I think I just got real tired of it. I was tired of being so cut off. And I was like, I remember like specifically thinking, it's time to get back to life. I don't know what that looks like, but it's time. And my friend Deb was like, you should start dating again. I was like, I don't know. But Match.com had just come out. And it wasn't the cool thing to do at that time. Like I remember one of the commercials was that it was a couple with a picture of the Eiffel Tower behind them. And they took a picture of it and they sent it to their parents as though it was a postcard and that they met at the Eiffel Tower when they actually met on Match.com. Yeah. It was at that time of the whole setup of it. But I made my profile and had a couple of people that I had conversations with, and it was like, oh, how many times do you go to the gym? I was just like, okay, no. And my profile said, I find joys in the small things in my garden as much as like the larger, scenes of life as an international flight attendant, blah, blah, blah. And so I find this I think he found me. Oh, he found me. So I get this email saying, I saw your profile. I'm a tree-hugging liberal do-gooder lawyer who does dog rescue on weekends. And I know you had to pick an age bracket, but it was an age bracket. It was like either 30 to 39, 40. It wasn't like 10 years within your age.
No.
It was just what it was. Yep. And at that time I was 33. And so the email says, I'm a little bit outside your age bracket, but in dog years, I think it's okay. And I was like, okay, this could be fun.
Yeah.
Well, it was Tim.
Yeah.
My husband now of 20 some years. Don't make me do math. I'm terrible at math. But he and I emailed a couple times, and then we ended up on the phone for 3 hours. And this is when Lacey Peterson had gone missing in California. Mm-hmm. And so she was pregnant, and she goes missing. And everybody's like, what happened? The husband was, they all thought it was him. And so now I'm going on this blind date. And I had a housemate that lived downstairs at the time. So I told him, I'm leaving all the information on my computer. If
I go missing, this is the dude.
And I looked up his last name, and he had told me what it was, but on the phone. But he, I don't know if I'd ever seen. Anyway, whatever. I Googled him, and I spelled it, which people do flew to me all the time now, and I'm like, oh no, I get it. It's okay.
I've done that too.
Because I don't know if I was thinking Clune, so Cloon, or I don't know. Anyway, I Google him, I can't find him. And I'm like, well, this feels sketchy, you know? And so I go to leave the house. This was actually very funny. And my cat, an indoor cat, decides to make a break for it as I open the screen door. My roommate is behind me, housemate, whatever. He'd come up the stairs. He's behind me going out the main door. And he's going out for cigarettes. And I was like, okay. Cat goes running out. I go to grab the cat. John's behind me. I can't back up. Door comes back, hooks me under the eyebrow. And I'm like, I'm going on a first date. Oh, and to back it up, so when Tim said, you know, this phone call seems to be going well, I don't know if this is presumptuous, but are you free next weekend? I was like, I don't know about next weekend, but I'm free tonight.
Free tonight.
So he lives a half hour outside of Albany. I'm half an hour the other way. We meet in Albany. Go to this restaurant called El Mariachi. And his profile says he's always on time. He's punctual.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. I get there like 15 minutes early. I sit on the bench outside. I'm like, I'm checking people out as they go by. And I'm like, I hope that's not him. Yeah, I hope that's not him. Because people lie, you know?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, punctual my ass, you know?
Liar.
It's now like 5 minutes after the time. And the door swings open and two heads come out. And it's the waitress on the phone. And it's Tim with this beaming smile. He locks eyes with me. And she's like calling the sister restaurant, wondering if I'm there. He got there earlier than me. And he was inside.
He was already inside waiting for you the whole time. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. And I think it was destined to be because we had a 3-hour dinner. And in the middle of it, we were talking about being a flight attendant. And he's talking about climbing mountains across the world. And as we're sharing stories, I was telling him about being in Quito, Ecuador at one point. And there was a coup on the day I arrived. And he was like, I was there during a coup. I was ice axing up these volcanoes. And I was like, what?
You guys are in Ecuador at the same time.
And then trying to get out of the airport the exact same time. And never knew each other.
Oh, that's
Is that
crazy.
not wild?
That is totally crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. So that's how I got back to life.
Cool.
That was, yeah. Then it was dates and going hiking and doing things outside of the little town that I was now living in. And then I moved in with them.
Just needed the right person to reawaken you.
Yeah. Yep. Went back to school. And then the photography thing happened. So, yeah.
No, that's going back to the 9/11 thing. My sister and I were in a trade show in Reno, Nevada when that happened. And we were there, we'd gone over before the trade show opened, and we're looking at these samples. And this guy that I knew from Wisconsin, he's like crazy about what's going on in New York. I hadn't had the TV on that morning, had no idea what was going on. It's like, yeah, New York's always crazy. He goes, not crazy like this. And I was like, what's he talking about? And we heard some other stuff. And I said, we need to go back to the room and see what's going on. And then we were stuck in Reno for like 4 days before, 4 or 5 days, whatever it was, till we could
the flight ban.
Till we could get a flight out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were the first flight out of Reno. I first went into SeaTac on the way back, and I've never felt so much tension in my life.
You were the opposite side of what was on my plane.
Yeah, it was just we weren't overseas or anything, but just in the U.S. And
no, but what I mean is like. I was afraid looking at it.
Yeah.
The passengers, but you were the one in the passenger seat.
For me, it was, you could feel the tension, but I think it was kind of just a fatalistic thing. It's like, I think it's probably going to be the safest flight I've ever been on in my life.
Right.
Because and a couple of us were talking in that area. It's like, after what just happened, the chance of somebody getting on this flight and doing anything, this is probably going to be the safest flight we're ever going to be on in our life. It's this one right now. And there's a guy, I think he was a row behind us, that he was a pilot dead heading back to where he was from. And he's like, yeah, I think this one's pretty good.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't, you could feel the tension, but I really wasn't worried about it.
Yeah.
For that reason. That if they make something happen on this one, that's going to be life, but the chances of that are pretty low. So there's other times I've been nervous about flights, but that one there, I was like, I think this one's good.
Yeah,
But it was that was a feeling that I've never felt before or since. For that whole 2 hours or whatever from Reno to Seattle. That was a very unsettling feeling the whole way.
So were you, at that point, they didn't have, Wi-Fi in the cabins or anything?
Nope,
like, you're cut off.
You're cut off. You get on the plane, there's whatever they're telling you is the only news you're getting while you're on there.
Yeah. Yeah. And then your head starts playing tricks.
Uh-huh.
And, you're playing all the scenarios.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 hours, and then you got to lay over, and then you got to get on another one from Seattle to Juneau, so you got another 2.5 hours, and then it's like, and then you're thinking, well, they usually want to do a big splash, right?
Right.
So Juneau,
probably not.
Probably
but
not.
Seattle.
Probably not. Seattle might have been.
Right.
But yeah, you're just trying to figure out that thought process on which one, and yeah, you're thinking about that whole time.
Yeah.
But as unsettling that was, I can't imagine being on the other side, because, like you were saying, you have that responsibility to protect us.
Right.
That's a lot to carry.
Was a
right
lot.
after that you're getting on an international flight going.
That was the reason I couldn't do it anymore. It wasn't for fear of the plane or anything like that. And, when we were in training, they always told us, if you ever see any kind of accident with a plane, like, it's really going to mess with your head, because that's the platform you work on every day.
Yeah.
And now it is no longer considered safe. So they had an employee assistance program, right? And they always gave that number out at trainings. And at this one, it was like they were definitely pushing it. But they also reminded us that we were not allowed to speak about this with anybody, because we had signed our contract saying that if there was ever an incident or an accident, we would never discuss it publicly. And so a lot of us had to carry that by ourselves, because when you're a flight attendant for a company that big, you can fly for a month with somebody because you get the same monthly schedule as your crew. But then the next month, it's an entirely different crew to a different destination. And you may never see the people you flew with last month ever again. The crews are the base is so big, and you can rotate through people endlessly before you ever have to meet the same person on a flight. So you don't necessarily build up huge friendships in this job. And you're away 15 days out of the month. So building relationships at home is not easy either.
Yeah.
And I've just relocated to a city, it was just, it was a lot of different things. So I felt very isolated in that way.
Well, of course you would.
Yeah. But the silence on behalf of the company was really devastating. There were people who wanted to do interviews and talk about, you're talking about how safe you felt on your flight, right? Given things were probably in place. They were putting all these things on the news to make sure that the stock market rose back up out of the crap.
Whether it was actually safe or not, I have no idea, but
and that's the thing.
Like and I think part of that was just me telling myself, for these reasons, this is going to be safe, because otherwise I never would have gotten on the plane.
Yeah, of course you have to. You have to, because life has to go on, and you can't be stuck in this place that you were visiting for forever, right? But also, and I think, listen, they put things in place, and I think that they had that intended effect, because people like you or a million of my other, people that I knew all felt the same way. Like, what are you so worried about? The reason I was so worried is because I had those pilots that were sneaking things on to test the system. I had, it's not to say that I didn't know people in the company. I did. There were people that I became friends with in training who then, we'd follow each other outside of work, and hang out. But I'm talking about, like, making new relationships on the planes was not easy. But I had friends in the company. And so, we were talking about how there had just been a group that had gone down to Rio. And somebody hijacked their crew bus from the airport to the hotel, took all their uniforms, all their passports, and left with them. But that didn't make the news. Like, but we know this because we're all part of the same company, and the word travels, you know, because we're all looking out for each other. So there were things that I knew, and my parents were like, "Oh, that's crap. That's not real." And I'm just like, "No, what you're seeing isn't real."
Yeah.
Like, and then when that plane went down, a month later in Jamaica Bay, I was there, and I was putting my shoes on to go outside. I was visiting my mother, and on the television is the plane. I wish at that point we had the cell phones we have now, because I wish I had filmed it. I know what I saw, and then I know what got switched. But they showed a reporter standing with the back of the plane visible and still burning. And they're telling us it's not a terrorist attack, but the plane's still on fire. There's been no investigation. The stock market is tanking. The image behind him was a fuselage, one of the doors in the fuselage blown out. And they tried to tell us that the plane fell off, the tail of the plane fell off because bolts came loose. And I never saw that clip again from that angle again on television. Yeah. And the stock market recovered. So I there are some things that get played out a certain way on purpose. And I'm not saying this as like a conspiracy theorist where I feel like, there's deep state and they're But there are financial interests that have a lot of power, and a phone call saying, "Hey, let's not say this right now, will help the stock market," probably did. Those things happen every day. We know that's true. So I think on that kind of level, these things were happening. I don't think it was some concerted effort. I'm not entirely sure that I buy into even the most plausible theories about, all of this being an inside job. I'm not one to fall for those things, but I can't deny the things I saw either. So, yeah.
That's good, because as you're talking about this, I'm almost done with I've been watching the Netflix series on Pan Am 103.
Oh, I haven't seen that. Okay.
Yeah, it just started in, December of 88 when got blown up and crashed over Lockerbie. Yeah. And I remember when it happened at the time, but then now they're kind of going through and telling the story of it, and it's some of that same stuff. Pan Am with they were the world's largest airline, or at least the United States' largest airline at the time, and they've got their report and that says that, oh, it's this, and this, and everybody else like, no, this or this, and try and point fingers, and like you said, Pan Am didn't want anything to point at them because those lawsuits that were coming their way were going to be a lot of money, and if they could point the finger somewhere else, make a big difference for them.
Right, which is why they tell the flight attendants, you're not allowed to talk about these things.
Not allowed to talk about these things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you think going through that experience prepared you for your cancer battle? Just going through that stage of...
I don't think so. I think I felt like it was a pylon.
Okay.
I felt like, one more thing. Oh my gosh, when am I ever going to get a break? Mm-hmm. I think where things shifted was probably when I got to my NED status. Like, okay, I made it this far, and I proved to myself that I could push through as much as I could the treatments they'd let me have, right? Because I think there's a lot of guilt that cancer patients carry about, did I do enough? Did I try enough? People are always like, be positive. And it's like, no, be true to who you are in the moment and let it move through you. Don't shove it away for this toxic positivity. Like, you get a lot of advice that you internalize at first until you can kind of tease it out.
For those of us that haven't gone through cancer, what are the right things to say, to do when we find out we've got friends or loved ones with cancer?
I think...
And it probably varies. Everybody's going to respond differently, but...
It's one thing. It's so easy. It's one thing.
What is it?
What do you need?
Okay.
What do you need?
Yeah.
What are you feeling?
Yeah.
You're never going to fix it.
No.
There's not a single word you can say that's going to make it better. But you can listen and you can be there without judgment. You can not tell them how handle their own emotions. You can tell them. You don't come to them with fenbendazole and whatever other, dewormers are the newest thing that doctors don't know about. Like, none of that. But yeah, just listen and just be there. And if you do it without judgment, they might actually feel open enough to share some of the scariest stuff, and then hold that without judgment, without commentary. Repeat back to them that you understand what they're saying as much as you possibly can. That's it.
But it's hard.
Oh, it's really effing hard.
That's really hard to do that.
Yeah.
To show up like that?
Yeah. Oh, people disappear.
It's not as hard as what you're going through, but man, that's hard for us to do.
Mm-hmm. It takes time, effort, responsibility, connection, vulnerability, all the things we're really bad at as humans.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, people, in the warrior talk, I have one friend who thrives on it. And it's really funny. For years, she even had, her friends would make her t-shirts, "You're such a warrior," or whatever it said. And they'd have a big party before her surgery, And I was so different from that. I hated that talk. I felt so scared 100% of the time. I felt like every time I walked into that oncology, the treatment room, I didn't know what that cocktail was going to do to me next. It was different every time and never good. Mm-hmm. So it was like playing Russian roulette. That doesn't feel like a warrior. I guess if I look at it from somebody else doing it, I feel that way. But I also know if they're doing it, they probably feel like me. They don't want to hear that language. It's hard to carry the burden of being somebody's warrior or being a hero or being whatever the language is that we endure. We endure what we have to, or we die. That's really all it is. Mm-hmm. And I think, there are a lot of articles on this, and a friend of mine actually brought it to me, and it helped me understand people are being kind. And I was like, why am I getting angry at their kindness? But I was, and I didn't know what that was about until I read this article, and I was like, oh, that's what's happening. Okay. And so I did a YouTube video on this, and I had all these cancer patients going, oh my God, I didn't understand why I was angry at my people. And then the people who were caretakers, I didn't know I was doing that. But then I also had so many people going, well, obviously you don't care about what I was trying to do for you by saying these things, and so I'm out. I'm like, okay, prove my point, but okay, yeah, thanks. So, yeah, it's a whole different. That's why I feel like it's a whole different language, but it's not language of words. It's language of the heart and listening. And if you're with the person already wondering what you can say, then you're already in it, right? Mm-hmm. So it's hard, but in some ways it's easier than trying to fix them with words. I don't know. That's all I got for you.
That's enough.
Okay.
What else are we missing in the Kim story?
Just, I don't know. Purpose now. I'm now working with the end of life organization for Alaska, the day that I just, so I'm in the middle of a thing now. Last week I went in to the clinic here because I was having neck pain, and it felt like it was in my jugular. And I was told it's not emergent yet, but there could be a clot in my port or an infection, so I should probably just take commercial flight to Juneau, get it checked out. So I did that. And I was seen at the ER. They kind of shipped me off and said, someone else will deal with you in the morning. Why don't you go over to oncology or maybe go to search? Because right now we don't know what to do. We might drive infection deeper if we try to get. None of that was true. If you have an infection, you want to find out that it's at the site, and then you. Yeah. So anyway, they did nothing. And then the next day I walked into oncology and I told them what was going on and then what hadn't been done. And they were like, CT, ultrasound, and set up all these things. And the ultrasound was the first thing. And the woman, of course, makes a mark on my neck. And she's like, I'll be right back. I'm going to go talk to the doctor. And I'm like, that's never good. I have a 6 centimeter clot in my jugular right now that, yeah. So they started me on blood thinners, and they did a CT, and yeah. So it's about here to here right now, and I feel like a ticking time bomb. So I say all this because I'm going for surgery on Wednesday to have this removed, and I'm on injectable blood thinners twice a day. I'm doing myself right now, and yeah, it's a whole thing. So I'm very happy to be involved with the end of life group here, because the day that I had all this happen, New York enacted their death with dignity law.
Oh, so that's been enacted there now.
Yes. The governor tacked on a bunch of extra things that make it really difficult. Like, you have to have a psych evaluation, which it takes 6 months to get that done. Like, I don't know how she expects us to actually implement this, but it's on the books.
Yeah.
So, but I want it here, and not for me, it probably would never happen before I get to use it, but I want to help them. So that's my thing now, working with those guys and gals, and all of them, guys and gals, and trying to get something a little bit more compassionate going on here in Alaska. But it's a fight. The disability community mostly, they fear that somebody will make the choice for them, I think, even though the law says you make the choice yourself, and you need a doctor's clearance, and you need this and you need that. But it's definitely a more peaceful way to go. So yes, that's what I'm in the middle of now. It just never ends. Thought I was going to get like maybe 2 summers on this drug, and now I'm not sure how to deliver it if I don't have a port, because the 2 times ago they put the needle in my vein, and you can still see the scars, but it leaked through the vein walls of my arm, and my whole arm was twice its size. And they said you never can take it through your veins anymore. You always have to do it straight into your heart, because it's so much fresh blood gets pumped in that it gets diluted.
Diluted enough?
Yeah. So I don't know what this means for treatment. It wasn't like it's not like this thing couldn't break off and give me a pulmonary embolism. I said to Tim, I'm like, well, that would be better. But it's, if I make it through surgery, which I will, I'm just saying, like, there is a possibility there that things could go wrong, and I'm facing that right now, but it's I don't know what that means for treatment. So we finally got the dose right. I'm finally here kind of doing my thing, and now it just all went to hell again. I'll come out on the other side or I won't, and I know what's waiting for me. I'm good. I just don't want to be in pain, and I don't want my husband to suffer. That's it.
Well, I hope however it works, you find the way that you're not in pain and your husband doesn't suffer.
Thank you.
But I hope to see you back here next spring.
Me too. We got some photography to do.
We got some photography. I'd love to go shooting from you, but regardless, even if we don't go shooting, I'm looking forward to seeing you back in Haines.
It's my favorite place to be, and I love seeing you here.
So that's my positive thought for you, Kim.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you sharing your story with all of us.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing your stuff too.
No, it's just been. My mind is racing in 1,000 different directions from our conversation.
Do you have more questions?
I don't. It's just things that It's like, where do I go with this information, right? Because not all of it's based on cancer, but some of the out of body and there's just a lot there to process, and in a week I'll probably have a bunch more questions for you, but in the minute I'm just trying to process that and think of all the different things that you've talked about, and there's a lot there.
And none of us know what's actually real. It's all perception, right? Like, it's our personal human viewpoint, so whatever happened to me might look entirely different to somebody else.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, this is just how I experience it, but...
No, and the way that you talk about it so openly, and just, hey, this is what happened, there's some of that stuff that most people wouldn't even share.
Yeah. Well, I was one of those people until now, so...
Yeah. Do you think going through this and at the stage you're at, has that allowed you to be more open?
There is huge freedom in knowing you're at the end.
Yeah.
Like, social acceptance, right? Like,
Who cares?
Yeah. Who cares?
I don't care.
I don't care anymore. And I grew up caring a lot. I was groomed into making sure that I was always performing properly, and
Yeah.
I just, I don't care anymore. And seeing the value of what I've shared on YouTube already, like that's really kind of where I'm at. I know that I've helped people. I mean, I have evidence of that. And so I don't want that to end, even though it is getting more taxing. Because today's a good day. I'm further away from chemo than I had been last week. I have more strength in that way. The clot is making me a little bit more winded when I actually move, but when I'm sitting, I'm fine. If I don't share before I'm gone, all of that goes with me. And so there's a little bit of not caring. There's a lot more of the actual caring, depending on which direction we're talking about.
Yeah.
So, I also, actually, I do have one more thing I want to talk to you about. And it's about a gentleman who I met through YouTube. His name is James Loftus. And he came to me with an idea for something to leave to Tim when I'm gone. And I think you might actually find this interesting because we're talking about like end of life stuff, right?
Yeah.
And how we can lessen the grief for our family. And he came to me with something that was such a beautiful gift. He's a painter, very skilled. And so he took a canvas, made it into a green screen, and did a time lapse of him painting a portrait. And over the painting coming to life in layers, he had video of this person who's passed and that person's loved ones playing in the periphery. And I was like, this is amazing. Wow. And he's like, you can add any message you want. You can add any memory you want. You can make something new. You can do a montage of whatever. And I was like, this is incredible. And so we started talking more about it. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, clearly you're thinking about this. And he's a hospice volunteer. So he interacts with this on a day-to-day basis too. But he's young. He's like early 40s. And he's got an 8-year-old kid, and he's happily married, and none of them are sick. They don't anticipate dying anytime soon. And I'm like, what makes you think of this? And he said, if anything ever happened to him and his little boy was left to face all of that grief, that he wanted a way to interact with that grief that he knew he could never erase, but that somehow he could lessen. And so one of his ideas was to take a Lego kit and unbox it, of just him and his camera unboxing this thing and saying, hey little guy, I hear you are having a rough day, Mom told me.
Oh, wow.
Like, yeah, right? Goosebumps. And he's like, I'll just talk to him as if I were just right there. And it's going to be one way, but for him to know that I love him no matter what time frame, like if I'm here, if I'm not here. And then I'll just box it all back up and he'll put it on the shelf and leave the video with his, on his phone for, Mom to find and share or whatever, put it on a hard drive and start. And he's like, I want to build these. I want to build these so that when he goes for his driver's test, when he has his first girlfriend, when he gets married, if he gets married again, he can recycle it. But funny guy. But wild, right? And he calls it love insurance. And I was like,
oh my God.
Yeah. So I just told him to start a channel and I did a little talk with him and I'm going to send people there. But he's got content there now. So if anybody is interested.
James Loftus?
Yeah. Loftis. But you can see him doing that. He's like, you don't have to do a painting. You don't have to involve anybody else. And so in our talk, we actually talk about, and it's not live yet, but it will be soon, just writing letters to somebody in a journal. It could be so low key. Just speaking into your phone for a minute. Like we hold on to those last voicemails because we want that piece of hearing somebody, right? So anyway, I just thought that little bit of love insurance is kind of a cool note to end on.
That is, but I can see that. Boy, that would be hard.
Making it or receiving it?
Making it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He talks about that too. I'm not going to ruin the whole thing, but yeah, he talks about you have to put, it's not putting yourself in the scenario of that person, knowing that person is hurting so much as you visualize yourself as the medicine And you don't go into, are they sick? What are they suffering? You don't put yourself in the suffering. You only look at the medicine, or you will go down a dark path. But if you just have that kind of casual conversation of, hey, I'm thinking about you today. Just want you to know I love you forever. Simple as that. Leaving just that one could change everything. Like, yeah.
That's a great way to end this.
He lifted me up so much. Of course, the two of us had a conversation the other day, and I'm like, so have you implemented any of this? Because right now I'm thinking about all of it because, you know, what's going on with my neck. Yeah. And he's like, nope. I'm like, yeah, me neither. So, but I will. I have a whole YouTube of memories that I've created for Tim. So they're all like housed there. If I ever have a hard drive crash or whatever, he can always go there and watch. There's a whole playlist for him. So I have thought about him, but not, I would like to do some other things. So, yeah. So that's, we can end that there.
Thank you, Kim.
You're welcome.
This has been an amazing afternoon.
Thank you for sharing it with me. This is, I've loved learning more about you just as much.
This has been, this has been very moving for me. And I appreciate you sharing your story. And I look forward to seeing you next spring.
I'm working on it.
All right.
And if not, maybe I'll see you another way.
Our paths will cross.
Yes. Yes, we'll be high-fiving.
It could be
up there somewhere, going, "Hey, we did cross paths.
Our paths will cross.
We did good work
in the future." Yes. Yeah. Yep.